Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Fang Yue stood frozen, eyes locked onto Yang Ling with a mix of confusion and wonder. Yang Ling glanced back, a teasing smile on his lips. Now that we've swapped roles, I wonder if you can keep up with me in the future. Fang Yue opened her mouth to speak, but Yang Ling cut her off gently. We're here. That's your stop. Huh? Already. Just moments ago, she had been worried about getting her sister to the exam on time. Now, oddly enough, she felt a trace of disappointment. Ding, you have crushed Fang Yue's desire to spend more time with you. Attribute point +1. As she watched him walk away, something in his words echoed in her heart. Follow you, huh? She rubbed the corners of her swollen eyes, but a small smile crept onto her face. Ding. You fulfilled Fang Yu's wish of reaching the exam room on time. Wish value +1. Ding. You fulfilled Fang Yue's wish to pursue you again. Wish value +1. Current progress, 4 out of 10. A string of system prompts echoed in Yang Ling's mind, and his lips curled into a satisfied smile. The first subject of the college entrance exam, Chinese. As soon as the test paper landed on his desk, a glint appeared in Yang Ling's eyes. Ding. Photographic Memory skill activated. Ding. Deductive Mastery skill activated. The twin skills kicked in. After scanning the paper once, he began answering with fluid precision. His thoughts flowed effortlessly from one section to the next. Even the essay segment posed no challenge. Time allotted, 2.5 hours. Time taken, 1 hour. Mental power consumed, 12 points. Since submission wasn't allowed until 30 minutes before the end, he casually tossed his pen down, leaned back, and shut his eyes, trying to regenerate mental energy. Around him, gasps spread. Is he sleeping? Did he just give up? Even the invigilators exchanged baffled glances, but none dared to interrupt. It was the college entrance exam, after all. 2 hours in, Yang Ling stood up, handed in his paper, and walked toward the door, under the stunned gazes of everyone around him. A middle-aged invigilator called out, skeptical. Student, are you sure you want to submit now? Don't you want to double-check? Yang Ling paused, blinking. Is there a problem? Problem. You napped for an hour. The invigilator gave him a long look, then waved him off with a sigh. Fine. Go ahead. Yang Ling offered a quizzical glance before strolling out casually. Outside, the exam center was a buzz of security staff, concerned parents, and even reporters. So when someone spotted a student walking out early, murmurs broke out. Fang Yue rushed forward, eyes wide. Ling, why are you out already? Yang Ling opened his mouth to reply, only to hear another voice call his name. Turning, his brows lifted in surprise. Huh, why is she here? It was Han Yakin, the HR manager of Muhua Group, often called the company's flower, the Muhua Huadan. She walked briskly toward him, her tone respectful yet warm. President Yang, Director Liu asked me to check in. He heard you were taking the college exams this week. She tilted her head curiously. But why did you come out so early? Boss Yang. Fang Yue blinked in confusion. Did she just call him boss? She glanced between Yang Ling and the elegant woman in front of her, Han Yakin, poised and stunning. Her expression soured slightly. Wait, don't tell me he already started a company and hired someone like this as his secretary? Fang Yue frowned without realizing it. Yang Ling replied with a calm smile. Just finished the exam, figured I'd step out. Then he looked at Han Yakin and added, Director Liu really sent you? Not the old man himself. Han Yakin was momentarily surprised, then chuckled. Mr. Yang, you really do see through everything. You're right, Director Liu's been buried in work lately. He asked me to check in. Yang Ling shrugged with a smirk. Makes sense. The company's busy. All right then, you can head back. I'm off to take a long nap. Just as he turned to leave, he realized he couldn't move because a wall of reporters had boxed him in. Cameras flashed. Microphones crowded his face. A female reporter jumped in first. Excuse me, are you one of today's exam candidates? Why did you come out so early? Yang Ling frowned, replying plainly, because I finished. What's the issue? The crowd exchanged puzzled glances. Technically, there was no issue. Another reporter asked, "There's talk that this year's Chinese exam was harder than usual. What did you think?" Yang Ling raised a brow. "Hard. I thought it was pretty easy." "Huh." The entire crowd stiffened, and a reporter reminded nervously, this is a live broadcast." "I know," Yang Ling said with a shrug, "but it really didn't feel that difficult. Everyone looked like they'd seen a UFO. Is this kid serious? Or just trolling on national television?" Another reporter pressed, "If it was so easy, how long did it take you to finish?" Yang Ling answered honestly, "Around an hour." "An hour?" Gasps erupted. Parents, reporters, students watching the stream at home. "An hour?" Either this kid is a prodigy or a lunatic. The questions kept coming. "And what did you do for the remaining time?" one reporter asked cautiously. Yang Ling looked slightly annoyed. "I slept." "Any problem with that?" "You slept." Mind were blown. He finished the National College entrance exam in an hour, and then napped for the rest. Everyone present had the same thought. This guy's either a genius or a certified clown, and definitely a top-tier show-off. Then a young male reporter squinted at his admission ticket and grinned. "Yang Ling, right? I'm Luo Shan from Huamao.com. Just one question. Will you be sleeping through your next exam too?" Yang Ling looked him up and down, clearly catching the sarcasm, and replied flatly, "Exams are tiring. If I finish early again, yeah, I'll sleep." That did it. Laughter exploded from all sides. The audacity, the confidence, the disrespect to the sacred pressure of college exams. In an instant, Yang Ling became a meme, live on national TV. A double dose of shameless energy straight from a 2X grade professional pretender. By this point, even Fang Yue and Han Yakin were giggling beside him. Yang Ling rolled his eyes at them. Han Yakin chuckled, trying to compose herself. Okay, I lost my cool. My apologies." Then she addressed the crowd. "Excuse us. Coming through. Thank you." With her leading the way, the two pushed through the amused mob and walked off. They had barely gone 10 steps before another wave of roaring laughter echoed behind them. Han Yakin drove Yang Ling home and then went straight back to the company. The beauty anchor at home was sleeping. After Yang Ling got something to eat, he lay down on the bed and took a nap. When he woke up, he felt refreshed, and the mental strength he had consumed in the morning had fully recovered. Walking unsteadily to the examination room, he immediately attracted the attention of the audience. Look, the serial pretender is coming." Many people laughed when they saw him. If it wasn't for Yang Ling's 7 points of charm, which is responsible for the appearance of the entire examination room, or else they would have burst into laughter. Seeing this, Yang Ling didn't care. These scumbags can laugh as much as they want now, and see if you can still laugh when the rankings are released. Because there was no composition to write for the math test in the afternoon, Yang Ling finished the test in half an hour. He threw away his pen and leaned on the chair with his eyes closed to rest. Both the examinee and the invigilator could not help but look at him with contempt and amused in their hearts. He also left the examination room half an hour earlier, and this time the reporters flocked again. "Student Yang Ling, did you still sleep for an hour?" Yang Ling smiled lightly and said, "Did you sleep for an hour and a half this time?" "Ha ha ha ha." The reporters and parents laughed, not to mention how happy they were, and some viewers in front of the TV laughed even more. This serial pretender has become a happy fruit. Sure enough, in the evening, all the major platforms put the video up, especially Luo Shan from Huamao.com, who wrote a special push article with humorous words but full of insinuations. For a while, Yang Ling was promoted as a typical villain of the candidates, causing laughter on the internet. In the middle of the night that night, the little friends on the P station made a video of Yang Ling's ghosts and animals. The content was humorous, and the barrage was filled with various talents. In the room, Chu Xin's smile trembled wildly. "Hey Xiaoling, do you want to laugh at my sister to death? Sleeping during the exam, haha. Why don't I give you my pillow so that you can sleep more comfortably?" Giggling, Yang Ling glanced at her contemptuously and said, "You drool when you sleep. You can keep that pillow for yourself." "Oh, Xiao Ling is angry." Chu Xin giggled and said, "How about this? If your total score can exceed 400 points, sister, I will grant you one wish. How about giving you a consolation prize?" "Oh," Yang Ling said angrily and amusedly. "Is it possible to wish for anything?" Chu Xin was taken aback when she heard the words. As if she had thought of something, her face blushed. But she decided that Yang Ling was a scumbag. So she suddenly puffed up her chest and said, "Okay, I'm afraid you won't succeed." Puff! Yang Ling laughed out loud, and then his eyes fell on the girl's chest, teasingly said, "Come on, there's nothing to worry about. Go to the live broadcast immediately. I'm going to sleep." Chu Xin pouted when she heard the words and snorted softly. "I also wanted to grow more meat. It's no use drinking so much milk." She walked out of the room muttering. Yang Ling shook his head with a smile and began to allocate attribute points. 15 attribute points are not a small number. According to the previous square four-dimensional idea, he directly added 5 points of agility, 5 points of physical strength, and 5 points of spirit. Currently, his panel changes as follows. Power, 25. Agility, 25. Stamina, 25. Mental power, 24. Charisma, 7. Looking at his panel, he was quite satisfied. Ding! It has been detected that one of your attribute values has reached an integer, and the reward is being drawn. Ding! You have been rewarded. Wish value plus 6. Your wishing tank is full. You can make a wish. Although he didn't get the skill, Yang Ling nodded in satisfaction. After hesitating for a moment, he said in a deep voice, "Give me 2 chances to make wishes to upgrade Thunder Control." Ding! The upgrade is successful. Your Thunder Control skill has been upgraded to LV3, and you can currently control 100 units of thunder power. Pretty! Yang Ling let out a soft cry of excitement, walked to the balcony of his room, looked at the boundless starry sky, and tapped his fingertips lightly. Crack! The sound of an electric arc sounded, and a flicker as thick as a baby's forearm shot out from his fingertips, straight into the sky. After calculating with his proficiency in deduction, he found that this lightning bolt could directly smash a big bluestone, or split a big tree in half. This is already a real superpower. He walked back into the room, took a deep breath, and started to activate the Thunder Control skill. Around him, a large net made of electric arcs slowly formed, and the metal objects in the entire room trembled violently. Now he is able to arrange the power grid and change the surrounding magnetic field. However, this is obviously not the place to display it. He collected his skills, suppressed his excitement, and went straight to sleep. The next exam also had no twists and turns. Yang Ling finished the exam in half an hour, slept for an hour and a half, and then left the exam room early. And the reporters are no strangers to his actions. Just like that, the raging college entrance examination finally came to an end, and Yang Ling was completely on vacation. City Patrol Brigade, Captain's Office. Su Qiuxiao looked at Yang Ling with some amusement and said, "Your college entrance examination results haven't come out yet, so you can't even talk about whether you can go to college. Why are you resigning in such a hurry?" Yang Ling smiled bitterly and said, "The sick leave is over, and I still have some things to do, so I'd better resign." Su Qiuxiao snorted softly and said, "That's right. You've helped the Liu family so much. They invited you to be the vice president, so naturally they don't like the work of our brigade. You know it all." Yang Ling sighed softly. "Actually, I didn't intend to go to work there." Su Qiuxiao snorted and quickly approved Yang Ling's resignation report. She glanced at the young man in front of her and suddenly blushed a little. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback and said in surprise, "Captain, is there anything else? I'm not your captain anymore. You can call me sister in the future. By the way, you have helped me so much. I said I would treat you to dinner. Are you free next weekend?" Yang Ling didn't think too much about it, nodded and smiled. "Okay, Sister Qiuxia, see you this weekend." After saying goodbye, he walked out with a smile. Sister Qiuxia. Su Qiuxia found that her face was a little hot. Looking at Yang Ling's back, a smile appeared on her face. "Ding, you fulfilled Su Qiuxia's wish to treat you to dinner, and the wish value is +1. You fulfilled Su Qiuxia's wish for you to call her sister. Wish value +1. Current progress, February 10th. Young Ling chuckled and was about to go to the small park to earn today's subsistence allowance when suddenly the phone rang. Little sister? The call turned out to be from his sister Yang Shui. Ever since she entered high school, this girl always avoided her for some reason and never took the initiative to call. After the call was connected, it was not Yang Shui's crisp voice, but a man's voice. Yang Ling, right? Your sister Yang Shui and her classmates were caught stealing in our shop with our shop assistant. You can bring money to redeem her. What? Yang Ling was taken aback and asked in a deep voice, "Where's my sister?" Let her answer the phone. Soon, a crying girl came from the other end of the phone. "Brother, I didn't steal, they wronged me. Come and save me, save me." Before the voice finished, the phone had been snatched by a hacker. The man said in a deep voice, "Your sister stole a box of Estee Lauder boutique suits worth 1 yuan from the cosmetic store. According to the store's rules, 1 steal is fined 10. At the entrance of Fenghua building, you can bring 10 yuan over here." Yang Ling sneered and said, "It's impossible for my sister to steal. I don't know what your purpose is. If you want me to bring money, you can. If my sister really stole it, I can give you 10 yuan. But I ugliness at first. If I find out that you have wronged her, then you will bear the consequences." After saying that, he hung up the phone and dialed another number. "Yin Xing, Fenghua building is our property, right?" Yin Xing asked curiously. "That's right. Mr. Yang is going to inspect it? I'll tell the people there to prepare. No notice required." Yang Ling sneered and said, "Now notify the monitoring room of the headquarters to call out the surveillance video of the Estee Lauder counter in the building and pay attention to see if anyone has tampered with it. Then you bring someone to the gate of the building." Hearing Yang Ling's bad tone, Yin Xing hurriedly responded, "Okay, Mr. Yang, I'm in the suburbs right now, so I'll take someone there immediately." After hanging up the phone, Yang Ling walked directly to the nearest bank. At the moment, a large group of people surrounded the entrance of Fenghua building. 2 girls aged 16 or 17 were surrounded by the crowd. One of the girls with long hair was crying and hiding behind the girl with ponytail. The girl with the ponytail is very cute. Although it hasn't fully grown yet, you can tell from the current appearance that she will definitely be a great beauty in the future. This woman is Yang Ling's younger sister, Yang Shui. Her eyes were a little red at the moment. She protected her classmates behind her, glared fiercely at a man of the same age not far away, and said angrily, "Sun Hong, what do you want?" Sun Hong laughed and said, "Xiao Xue, you know I like you. Why don't you want to accept me? Now you've been caught stealing. Only I can save you." Seeing that Yang Shui's eyes were about to burst into flames, Sun Hong said again, "You don't have to look at me like that. Which girl doesn't love vanity? As long as you promise to follow me, I'll buy you whatever you want in the future, okay?" Yang Shui said angrily, "You are dreaming. My brother will come to rescue me soon. Just wait and see." "Your brother? What are you really expecting to do?" Sun Hong laughed loudly and said, "That poor man of your brother, let alone 10 yuan, he can't even get 1,000 yuan. My brother is the deputy general manager of the building. As long as he says a word, this matter can be settled. Compared to my brother, what kind of bird is he?" Yang Shui was choked when she heard the words. Although the call was to her brother, she also knew it was useless. It's just that when she encounters danger, she instinctively thinks of her brother. Seeing that Yang Shui stopped talking, the yellow-haired young man next to Sun Hong sneered and said, "You 2 stinky girls dare to steal things on Brother Snake's territory. It's too long. Today I put the words here. Either agree to be my little brother's girlfriend, or give 10 yuan, or I will take you to see Brother Snake. What will happen then, you should know." The faces of the 2 little girls turned pale, and the girl hiding behind Yang Shui cried, even harder. At this moment, a sneer came from not far away. "Oh, let me know what the consequences will be." I saw a young man in ordinary clothes, carrying a leather bag, slowly separated from the crowd and came out. Who else would it be if it wasn't Yang Ling? Elder brother. A look of surprise appeared on Yang Shui's face, and the little girl behind her even exclaimed, "Brother Ling." As he said that, he threw himself into Yang Ling's arms, crying nonstop, "Yang Ling." Sun Hong sneered and said, "You poor man. Do you really have the guts to come here? Yang Ling patted the girl in his arms on the shoulder, and after comforting her, he protected the two little girls behind him and said calmly, "Who am I? It turns out it's you, a little bastard. What? If you can't catch up with my little sister, why are you using such indecent means?" Sun Hong was taken aback when he heard the words, and then said coldly, "Yo, I haven't seen you for a few months, but you have learned to pretend? 10 fine for stealing. Did you bring 10 yuan? If you don't have money, you don't even think about leaving here today." Elder brother, the younger sister behind him let out an uneasy cry, and Yang Ling squeezed her little hand, signaling her not to be afraid. Then he opened the backpack, revealing a pile of banknotes full of it. One stack is 10 yuan, and there are dozens of stacks here, definitely more than dash yuan. Everyone was shocked to see this. But is this kid a pauper? Where did the money come from? Several female salespersons looked at Yang Ling's eyes immediately changed, from contempt at the beginning to now, as if they had discovered a wealthy son-in-law. Their eyes sparkled. "Ding, you smashed Sun Hong's desire to mock you for having no money. Attribute points +1. When everyone was surprised, Yang Ling took out a stack of RMB, threw it directly at his feet, and said flatly, "I have plenty of money. If you want it, come get it yourself." This move makes people gasp. This is a provocation, a naked/naked/naked provocation. Sun Hong said angrily, "Yang Ling, what do you mean? You want to die, don't you? What do you mean?" Yang Ling sneered and said, "Didn't you want money? I asked you to come and get it. You won't take it again. Don't you think it's not enough?" He took out a few more stacks and threw them at his feet. "Is 50,000 enough?" "Not enough." This time he directly took a wad of money and threw it on Sun Hong's face and said coldly, "I'll give you another 10,000. Is it enough?" Slap in the face. Slap your face with money. Everyone was stunned by Yang Ling's behavior. Sun Hong's face was smeared with red marks from the banknotes. Finally, he couldn't bear it anymore and roared, "Go to hell with me." He rushed over fiercely, but the next moment there was a clear applause. Snapped. With a slap, Sun Hong was knocked to the ground by Yang Ling. This 5-year-old sports student was slapped over the face. "Dare to touch my sister?" Yang Ling stepped on his face directly and said coldly, "Didn't you want money? So much money is in front of you. Why are you picking it up?" Mouth-watering. Everyone was shocked by Yang Ling's actions. What is irascibility? This is irritability. This handsome young man slapped him in the face even if he disagreed with him, and even trampled him under his feet. The audience was silent, only the screams of Sun Hong struggling. Brother Mao, save me." He desperately wanted to break free from the soles of Yang Ling's feet, but it could only increase his pain. The little gangster called Brother Mao suddenly came back to his senses and screamed, "Where are you from? Don't you know that Sun Hong is with Brother Snake? Where did all this nonsense come from?" Yang Ling grabbed a stack of banknotes from his backpack and threw them away with a shake of his hands. Ding! Throwing proficiency skill activated. How powerful Yang Ling is now. This stack of banknotes hit Brother Mao's face as hard as a brick. Boom! With a muffled sound, Brother Mao was knocked down head-on. Nosebleeds shot out immediately, and he lay down on the ground with a bang under his eyes. Silence. Deathly silence. The onlookers were stunned. This seemingly arrogant gangster was knocked out by the money. Ding! You have fulfilled Huang Mao's desire to be smashed by money. Wish value +1. Current progress. 3 out of 10. There's a saying on the internet that you can kill me with money, but at this moment, no one wants to be hit like this. A large pile of 100 yuan bills were scattered on the ground, but no one dared to pick them up. Everyone looked at Yang Ling in fear, not daring to breathe. Yang Ling sneered, loosened his feet, looked down at Sun Hong, and said, "Tell me, did you wrong my sister?" Sun Hong took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, and said, "Yang Ling, your sister has been arrested, so you can just give me some money. Now you dare to do this to me. I want you to go to jail. I want you brothers and sisters to go to jail together. If you have the ability, keep stepping on it. When my brother and Snake Brother arrive, it will be your end. Is it?" Yang Ling snorted coldly. "I'll let you know in a while. whose doomsday it is. Speaking of Chow Chow, Chow Chow will arrive. I saw 4 black cars coming at high speed, and after they stopped, a group of burly men got off. They looked like they were gangsters. The leader among them was a bald man with a plaster cast on his hand, but he had a fierce expression on his face. Brother Snake, you are here." The yellow-haired bastard who was lying on the ground and fainted by the money seemed to see his savior, got up quickly, rushed to the bald head, and screamed, "Brother Snake, someone didn't give you face and hit me. He even trampled Sun Hong under his feet. You old man wants to decide for us." "Okay." The bald head turned pale when he heard the words, and said angrily, "Who dares to beat me?" As soon as the bald head appeared, everyone shrank their necks, thinking that the boy was going to be miserable. Yang Shui and Chun Yi were even more frightened and trembled slightly. The bald-headed group came over aggressively, and, after pushing away the crowd, they shouted angrily, "Dare to step on my brother, give it to me." The voice stopped abruptly, and when he saw the indifferent young man in front of him, his bald head seemed to be strangled by someone, and the second half of the sentence was completely swallowed in his throat. Huang Mao laughed loudly and said, "Yang Ling, Brother Snake is here. You are dead." Sun Hong screamed, "Brother Snake, Brother Black Snake, save me. I'm going to be trampled to death by this bastard." All eyes were on Hey Snake, who took a deep breath and walked towards Yang Ling. Seeing the actions of the Black Snake, everyone's hearts were in their throats. Yang Shui and Chun Yi turned pale and grabbed Yang Ling's sleeves. But at this moment, Black Snake's knees suddenly softened, and he knelt down with a plop. Silence. Everyone was dumbfounded, their jaws almost dislocated in shock. Brother Hey Snake smiled wryly and said, "Brother Yang, I didn't know you were here, so I'll kowtow to you, my brother." As he said that, he was really about to kowtow. Yang Ling said lightly, "No need, Brother Black Snake, please get up." Hearing this, Hey Snake breathed a sigh of relief, slowly got up, and stood like a well-behaved student, not daring to breathe. Everyone was stunned. They looked at Yang Ling with disbelief, and Huang Mao was so frightened that he couldn't speak. His whole body was shaking nonstop. As for Sun Hong under Yang Ling's feet, he was too frightened to struggle. Even the big brother Hey Snake here would kneel and kowtow when he saw Yang Ling, let alone himself. Although he didn't know who Yang Ling was, needless to say, trampling him to death was as easy as trampling an ant to death. Black Snake was also frightened at the moment. Thinking of Yang Ling's actions before, he couldn't help shivering and said with a smile, "Brother Yang, my younger brothers are ignorant, and I'm really sorry for making you so angry. I will give you an explanation when I go back." Yang Ling said lightly, "Really, I don't dare to explain to you, Brother Black Snake." Hey Snake thumped a little when he heard the words, knowing that this master must be angry. Once this master makes a move, the beating will be small, and he ran naked / running around in broad daylight. Mental hospital for the rest of his life. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and walked towards Huang Mao viciously, with a big mouth when he came up. "Where are your eyeballs? You dare to offend Brother Yang. I can't beat you to death." As he spoke, he slapped Huang Mao until his face was covered in blood, and his hands ached. But Yang Ling, who was about to die, was not abnormal, so he could only bite the bullet and continue smoking. Fortunately, after another 2 puffs, Yang Ling finally spoke. "Hey Snake, I heard from this yellow-haired brother that you are interested in my sister." "What?" Black Snake was so frightened that he was scared out of his wits. He turned his head and glared at Huang Mao and said, "How dare you slander me? I can't kill you, scum." As he spoke, he kicked Huang Mao hard in the stomach. The man screamed and passed out on the spot. The Black Snake angrily spat at the fainted Huang Mao, then knelt down in front of Yang Ling with a thud and screamed, "Brother Yang, your sister is so beautiful. Even if I had 10 guts, I wouldn't dare touch her. That scum wronged me. I will sue him for defamation later. You must believe me." Everyone's scalp was numb from the shock. One elder brother, because he was afraid of the boy's anger, wanted to use legal weapons to defend his innocence. If he said it, he would be laughed out of his teeth. Yang Ling looked at the Black Snake kneeling in front of him dumbfounded, waved his hands, and said, "Okay, I didn't say what to do with you. What does your elder brother look like kneeling to me? Go, pick up the money on the ground." Hearing the words, the black snake seemed to have been pardoned, got up with a grunt, and yelled at his younger brothers, "Pick up the money on the ground for me. If one is missing, I will take your skin off." Even the boss is afraid of being like this. How dare the younger brothers say no? One by one, they went to pick up money. "Ding, you have crushed Huang Mao's desire to let Brother Black Snake teach you a lesson. Attribute point +1. "Ding, you have fulfilled Black Snake's desire to make big things smaller. Wish value +1. A moment later, Black Snake was holding a pile of banknotes and said with a smile, "Brother Yang, 7 yuan is not less than a penny." Yang Ling took the banknotes, threw 2 stacks into Black Snake's arms suddenly, and said calmly, "Brothers have worked hard. Take them to the bar." "What?" Black Snake was stunned, and the sockets of his eyes became moist. 2 yuan is not much money, and to be honest, Brother Black Snake doesn't think much of it. But what is this? This is love. Brother Yang is such a powerful person. Regardless of previous suspicions, he gave money to let the brothers drink. This is a big favor. Holding the banknotes in his hand, tremblingly, he suddenly choked up with red eyes and said loudly, "Brother Yang gave us money to drink. Brothers still don't thank Brother Yang." The younger brothers immediately shouted in unison, "Thank you, Brother Yang." All the people who eat melons feel their scalps are numb. This young man has subdued the famous social people in this area with his gestures. He can go make a movie. Not only them, but even Yang Ling himself widened his eyes. "Isn't it just 2 yuan? Do you want to make it like this?" "Ding, you have fulfilled Black Snake's wish to befriend you. Wish value +1. Current progress 4/10. Yang Ling touched his nose, waved his hand, and said, "That's fine, no thanks. By the way, which one of you would throw this scumbag far away from me? It's an eyesore. I come. Go away, let me come." Without waiting for the Black Snake to greet, the younger brothers rushed forward and carried Sun Hong out like a dead pig. But at this moment, 2 law enforcement vehicles came speeding up, and the group of boys were startled. "There is such a big mess here. Law enforcement will definitely come to deal with it." 3 law enforcement officers got out of the car, and a young man wearing glasses and a suit. When Sun Hong saw this person, he wailed, "Brother, save me, brother." The man with glasses hurriedly helped him up, while the superior in the field looked at Sun Hong and the yellow hair on the ground, stared at the Black Snake, and said, "What's going on? You did it?" Black Snake hurriedly said, "Captain D, my brother fell by himself. It's fine. I'll take him to the hospital in a while. These gangsters are all on record." D snorted coldly when he heard this, and said, "Don't let me know that you committed crimes, or you will catch one by one." He said to the colleagues around him, "Xiao Wang, call an ambulance." He scanned the crowd, and when he saw Yang Ling, he was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and said, "Xiao Yang, why are you here? I was planning to write a report to transfer you to our team, but you actually resigned." This person is another superior of the patrol brigade, Dion Long. Yang Ling laughed and said, "Fortunately, I resigned, or if I was transferred by you, wouldn't Team Sue kill us?" "Ha ha ha ha." Dion Long laughed loudly and said, "It's true, that J Flower is very protective." He suddenly looked at Yang Ling teasingly, laughed again, and said, "You become famous this time, so you didn't pass the exam? That guy, Old Song, also went around bragging for you, saying how good your grades are, so that we thought you were a genius. However, after watching your interview video that day, the old man's beard was all crooked, and he said he would transfer you to watch the gate." "Ha ha ha." Yang Ling touched his nose when he heard the words, and said with a wry smile, "Why does everyone think I'm joking? It's really not difficult." Dion Long laughed, even happier when he heard this, and the female Jay beside him was also trembling with laughter. "Oh, Xiaoling, your sister Qiu watched the video and wanted to strangle you to death. Sister really convinced you." Giggling, the melon eaters on one side were stunned. They might not know who Lao Song and Qiu Xiao were, but how could the Black Snake not know? He looked at Yang Ling dumbfounded, secretly glad that he was wise. "If my head was a little harder just now, I am afraid that if I didn't go to a mental hospital, I would have to squat." Sun Hong was also terrified. Young Ling, whom he had despised before, now seemed to have both black and white. Is he blind? He dared to hit his sister's idea. He looked at his elder brother anxiously, while the man with eyes looked at Young Ling and sneered. Thinking about the business, Dion Long suddenly said seriously, "Manager Sun, you said someone stole your stuff. Who is it?" Manager Sun is Sun Hong's elder brother. He raised his eyes, pointed at Yang Shui and Chun Yi, and said, "Captain D, these are the two little girls." "Oh." Dion Long frowned, but Yang Shui shouted loudly, "You wronged us. You stuffed the cosmetic box in my bag while I wasn't paying attention." Dion Long looked at the two beautiful little girls and saw them hiding behind Yang Ling, and asked in surprise, "Xiao Ling, do you know them?" Yang Ling nodded calmly and said, "One is my sister, and the other is her classmate." "That's it." Dion Long nodded, looked at Manager Sun, and said, "Where's the surveillance system in the building? Take us to have a look." Upon hearing this, Manager Sun smiled wryly and said, "I'm really sorry. The monitoring has been broken for the past few days, and it's being repaired. However, these two little girls were caught on the spot by our employees, and a box of cosmetics worth 1 yuan was indeed found in their bags." "Search." Dion Long sneered and said, "Why didn't you call the police immediately? What qualifications do you have for a body search?" This Manager Sun was speechless for a while and smiled wryly. "We don't want to make things worse. We just want to get the things back." These words directly made him stand on the side of morality. Dion Long snorted lightly and said nothing more. According to the criminal law, stealing more than -yuan can be punished, and even minors must be detained for a few days. He looked at the second daughter, Yang Shui, hesitated for a moment, and then said, "You all stick to your own opinions, and there is no monitoring and evidence collection at the scene. How about this? The relevant personnel in this case will first go back to the office with us to take notes and wait for the investigation to be clear before determining the nature. Xiao Ling, she's your younger sister. You also go back with us so as not to scare the two girls." Yang Ling smiled lightly. "Captain D, this Manager Sun said there is no monitoring, but who knows if there is?" Upon hearing this, Manager Sun sneered and said, What does this little brother mean, that I'm cheating? If you don't believe me, you can check it yourself to see if there is any deception. Let's speak with the facts. Is it?" Yang Ling said indifferently. "I didn't say you were lying. Why should Manager Sun be so excited? By the way, you should be excited. It is not a light crime to accuse a minor of stealing and giving false testimony. Don't you agree?" Manager Sun's face changed when he heard the words, and he shouted, "Who are you calling a fraud? You can eat indiscriminately, but you can't talk indiscriminately. This is a matter of my reputation. Believe it or not, I will find someone to sue you for defamation right now." Yang Ling said lightly, "Did I name the name? Or are you not calling yourself? Why are you so excited?" After hearing the words, everyone looked at Manager Sun in unison. His face turned blue for a while, and he snorted coldly. "You suspect that I can go to the monitoring room to see for myself, and there is no need to maliciously slander me here." Yang Ling sneered and said, "The surveillance room is your place. Wouldn't it be fun for me to go there?" After speaking, he turned to Dion Long and said, "Captain D, I have a friend who works in Muhua Group, and he has already gone to the monitoring center of the headquarters to retrieve the video. I guess it should be on the way here now." Dion Long was surprised. "Xiao Ling, do you want to watch the surveillance here before talking?" Yang Ling nodded slightly, but at this moment, Manager Sun sneered and said, "Yang Ling, to obtain the monitoring of the group, it must be approved by General Manager Yen of the Security Department and signed by the General Manager's office. That friend of yours can't be Mr. Yen, or is it the superior of the General Manager?" Seeing Yang Ling's expression was calm, he continued to sneer and said, "What's the point of wasting everyone's time by bragging here? If your sister steals something, it's stealing something. There is nothing to deny if someone steals something. You do this kind of thing based on your relationship. I think your character is really bad." Yang Ling looked at him with some disgust and said, "Why? Do you want to go to the police station so much? Don't worry, you'll stay here later." Dion Long was silent for a while and looked at Manager Sun's expression. According to years of experience, he was almost sure that there was something wrong with this person. He said in a deep voice, "Since there may be new evidence, let's just wait here so that Xiaoling's friends won't make a fuss." Manager Sun's face darkened when he heard this, but he didn't believe that Yang Ling could get the surveillance from the headquarters and said with a sneer, "If that's the case, just wait." However, Yang Ling, there is one thing I want to remind you. This incident has already caused damage to the reputation of our group. No matter what the result is, I will let the lawyers of the group sue you. Get ready to receive the court leaflet. Yang Ling said calmly. Okay, you're not the first to sue me. It seems that the superiors of the court will be busy recently. After finishing speaking, he ignored this person and looked at his sister. He smiled slightly. Didn't you two attend cram school to prepare for the final exam? Why did you come to them all? Yang Shui blushed and said, Xiaoyi said that she wanted to see the bag, so I came with her. Chani was slightly taken aback and muttered, What? You didn't come to see it. We don't have any money, so we just get greedy after seeing it. Yang Ling smiled and shook his head when he heard the words. Little sister, you live at Xiaoyi's house. Have you studied hard? Yang Shui blushed even more and whispered, Yes, you have to study hard. Oh, I found that you are so long-winded, just like my mother. Seeing her sister's expression, no need to ask, she must not have studied hard. Yang Ling patted her head helplessly and said, If you spend so much money on cram school, if you become popular, Mom won't spank your ass. I'll move in and live with me in a few days, and I'll help you with your homework. Yang Shui blushed and snorted softly when she heard the words. You are so sloppy. Who wants to live with you? Also, you were turned into a ghost video when you slept in the exam, and you even tutored me. It's not too bad for me to tutor you, isn't it, Xiaoyi? After asking this question, she found that Chen Yi's face was flushed red, and she tried to say something awkwardly but dared not say it. The two brothers and sisters looked at each other, and Yang Shui asked curiously, What's wrong with you? Do you want to pee? You're just peeing. Chen Yi snorted softly, then lowered her head and said with a blushing face, I want Brother Ling to help with my homework. What? Yang Shui's eyes widened. This girl won't like her brother. Just when she was surprised, a Mercedes-Benz came running wildly. Yin Xing jumped out of the car, and after parting the crowd, before he had time to say hello to Yang Ling, Manager Sun came up and said affectionately, Boss Yin, you came just in time. Someone was caught by the clerk for stealing in our mall. I was just about to report this to you. Yin Xing glanced at him with a sneer and said, Sun Fu, you are quite courageous. Usually you are quite honest. How did you do such a thing? After saying this, Yin Xing quickly walked up to Yang Ling and said respectfully, Mr. Yang, I brought the monitoring. Would you like to take a look at it first? As soon as this statement came out, everyone was stunned. Mr. Yang? The director of the safety department of Tangtang Muhua Group actually called Yang Ling as Mr. Yang. Is this boy an executive of the group? Manager Sun trembled. He knew all the executives of the group. The only one he didn't know was the vice president of the group who took office recently. According to legend, even Mr. Liu and Dong Liu were in awe of that man. Because the vice president has not worked a day since he took office, and he belongs to the white-collar salary. So even the people in the headquarters have never seen him, only saying that the president is a boy younger than Liu Dong. Gradually, the figure of the legendary vice president merged with Yang Ling, and Manager Sun softened and collapsed to the ground. Yang Ling sneered and said, Just give the video to Captain D directly. Okay. Yin Xing handed the phone to Dion Long and said, Our group has already investigated the matter clearly. Such a scum has come out and caused you trouble. I'm really sorry. Dion Long took the phone and took a look with a few colleagues. It was indeed the yellow-haired man who took Yang Shui and accidentally stuffed the cosmetic box into his bag. His face darkened, and he snorted coldly. Falsely framed minors and even deceived the police. Take me away. Yes. Several law enforcement officers directly picked up Manager Sun, who was limp on the ground, and were about to drag him to the law enforcement vehicle. At this time, this person did not know where the strength came from, and suddenly struggled, ran to Yang Ling, knelt down, and cried bitterly, Mister, how about this time? Yang Ling looked at him condescendingly and said with a sneer, I have no right to let you go. People like you don't know how many things you owe the company secretly. Now I tell you clearly that you have been fired. What? Manager's son fell to the ground like a puddle of mud, and Yang Ling continued. Yin Xing, thoroughly investigate this person's work for me, and if you find anything illegal, report it to the relevant department directly. In addition, inform the financial department, withhold this person's salary and all bonuses, and wait for the investigation results to come out. By the way, those 2 clerks who made false statements will be fired immediately and sent to the police station. Notify the lawyers of the group that this person, surnamed Sun, has seriously damaged the reputation of the group. Sue him. Yang Ling returned exactly what this person said to him just now. The difference is that what Manager Sun said was an angry word, but Yang Ling's was an order. A series of orders were issued without sloppiness. It can be said to be comprehensive. Yang Ling has shown what leadership is. Yin Xing admired it from the bottom of his heart, and he responded respectfully. Mr. Yang, don't worry. I will definitely convey it to you. Ah! Yang Ling nodded and was about to say something when suddenly the audience burst into applause. The melon-eating crowd watched from beginning to end, and at this moment they were convinced by this young man named Yang Ling. Look, this is the real Daling Island. The young man is great. Auntie will come to you to buy things from now on. Mr. Yang is high. Master President, I want to marry you. Hearing these voices of praise, Yang Ling was already used to it, but Yang Shui clapped her hands happily and hugged Yang Ling's arm vigorously, with a proud expression on her small face. Who said my brother was a waste before? I'm going to take my CEO brother to slap them in the face. He he he. And Chun Yi's eyes are full of little stars, and her face is full of admiration. Seeing the lively scene, Yang Ling's heart moved, and he said loudly with a smile, Today, the mall made everyone laugh. To express my apology, I'll announce a %% discount for the entire audience. We will carry on at a loss to the end. I hope that all new and old customers will patronize more in the future. This is a high-end shopping mall that only sells high-end products. Everyone was taken aback for a moment, then cheered at the same time, and all poured in the shopping mall. At the same time, Yang Ling's mind continuously rang the system's notification tone. Ding, you have satisfied Yang Shui. Chunyi hopes to repay her innocent wish, the wish value +1. Ding, you have fulfilled everyone's desire to solve the case. Wish value +1. Ding, you have fulfilled the desire of the people who eat melons to know the truth of the matter, and the wish value is +1. Ding, you smashed Manager's son. After the series of notifications ended, Yang Ling found that he had obtained 4 wish points and 3 attribute points, which was considered a big profit. His current wishing point is a 7 out of 10, and his attribute points have reached 5. At this moment, Dion Long came over, patted Yang Ling on the shoulder with a smile, and said, I heard from Xiao Su that you are a high-ranking man, but I didn't expect you to become an executive of Muhua Group. You boy is doing well. Yang Ling laughed and said, Stop making fun of me. Dion Long chuckled, and then said seriously, I will take him away first, and I will notify you after the interrogation results come out. Okay, let's go. Yang Ling smiled and said, Go slowly, and say hello to Sister Qiuxiao for me. Sister Qiuxiao? Dion Long was taken aback for a moment, and then showed a smile that any man could understand. I can't see that you still have this skill. Then I wish you success. Obviously, this man misunderstood Yang Ling's meaning. While watching the law enforcement cars roaring away, Yang Ling said to Yin Xing, Han Yakin, who called HR, tell her about the situation and asked her to send some salespeople over here for support. Okay. Yin Xing was about to make a call, but Yang Ling patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, Director Yin, your work has been doing very well recently. I will go to the company someday, and I will discuss with the general manager's office about our senior personnel. Appointment. What? Yin Xing couldn't hear the meaning behind Yang Ling's words. His eyes were red with excitement, and he was speechless for a while. Yang Ling smiled slightly, threw the bag containing the money into his arms, and said, "The money will be deposited back into my account in a while." "Okay, this promotion is also an opportunity for you to show off, so don't follow me, go." "Oh, good." Yanxing nodded, glanced at Yang Ling gratefully, and walked quickly towards them all. Seeing that everyone was gone, Yang Shui hugged Yang Ling, giggled, and said, "Brother, you are so amazing. By the way, are you rich now? I want to buy clothes and bags. I want to go on a trip." Yang Ling touched her head with a smile and said, "Okay, I'll buy it for you. However, travel will have to wait until you finish the exam. Long live. Brother is so kind." Yang Shui hung on her brother directly, not to mention how happy she was. "Ding, you have fulfilled Yang Shui's shopping wish. Wish value +1, current progress, 8/10." Yang Ling smiled and waved to Chun. "Xiao, Yi, let's go together." Chun Yi originally had some speculations in her heart, but she immediately smiled and said, "Yes, let's go together." Walking on the road, Yang Ling called his father and told his elder sister that he would live with him for a while, and directly transferred 30 to them for the elder to use first. This made the parents very happy. After suffering for most of their lives, they can finally enjoy the happiness of their son. The headquarters of Muhua Group, the president's office on the 28th floor. A handsome man wearing glasses who appeared to be about 30 years old stood in front of Lu Muhan's desk and said respectfully, "Mr. Lu, this is the audio video of the entrance of the building you want." "Ah." Lu Muhan looked away from the document in front of him and looked at the tablet computer handed over by the man. Although his expression was calm, there was a hint of joy in his eyes. Seeing this, the man frowned and said softly, "Dr. Lu, I also know about this." Mr. Yang directly announced the discount. "Isn't this approach inappropriate? After the preliminary financial accounting, the loss may be close to 1 million in one day." Lu Muhan ignored him, but looked at Yang Ling on the tablet with a slight smile on his face. After a while, she slowly put the tablet into the drawer, looked at the man, and said indifferently, "Boss Yang did a good job, lost some money but restored the brand image and gained the loyalty of customers. Looking at it, we will have greater profits." The man frowned again and said hesitantly, "Although that's the case, Mr. Yang," openly. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Lu Muhan. "Why? Are you questioning Mr. Yang?" There was a hint of coldness in her voice, which made the man's heart sink, and he shook his head and said, "That's not what I meant." Lu Muhan looked at him and said calmly, "I know what your general manager is thinking. Mr. Yang did fail the college entrance examination, but none of you can match his ability. Go out and tell the people in the general manager's office that the group has group rules. No one here can question President Yang except me." This, Lu Muhan clearly defended Yang Ling. The man gritted his teeth and said, "Director Lu, what's wrong with us? But I heard that there are a few people on the board of directors." "Then let them tell me." The man sighed softly when he heard the words. He already knew the attitude of the female CEO, nodded, and left the office. After the person left, Lu Muhan took out the tablet from the drawer, looked at Yang Ling on the screen, and whispered to himself, "Why are you here at work?" As soon as the words were out of her mouth, she realized that she had said something strange. Her face flushed. She hurriedly put away the tablet and began to look at the documents absently. In the general manager's office, several high-level executives of the group surrounded the man with glasses. A middle-aged bald man asked, "Mr. He, how are you doing?" The man shook his head and said, "Dong Lu's attitude is very clear. This Yang Ling cannot move for the time being." This, several people looked at each other, and the bald man snorted softly. "Brother, Wang Chao committed suicide. I thought the seat would be yours, but someone else took it." The rest of the people also looked angry. The position of vice president is quite critical, and it can almost block all the powers of the general manager's office, which has already affected the interests of this group of people. The man with glasses said with a gloomy face, "This Yang Ling has lost the face of the group in front of the media and has caused dissatisfaction among several sensible people. Let's see, after the results of the college entrance examination come out, he will naturally look good." On the other side, on the commercial street, Yang Ling looked angrily at the group of people behind him and didn't leave at all. These bums have already followed all the way, so I just gave them 2 yuan. Is there any need for them? There is such a group of social people behind this, and they are still shopping in the street. Yang Shui wasn't afraid of them either. She hummed softly with her waist in her hands. Big bald head. What are you doing with us? Black Snake ran up laughing, looked at Yang Ling, and said, Brother Yang, I want to be with you. What? The three of them were all taken aback. Yang Ling said angrily, I'm not a social person. Why are you following me? Black Snake said seriously, I've thought about it. Brothers, there's no way out if you go on like this, Brother Yang. You're a very kind person with skills. Everyone wants to have a meal with you. Yang Ling was silent for a while, watching the Black Snake begin to weigh the pros and cons. Seeing this, Black Snake became nervous, until a moment later, Yang Ling said suddenly, Let your little brothers disperse first, and you come with me. Hey Snake was overjoyed when he heard the words, and hurriedly waved his hands behind him. The younger brothers understood and scattered like birds and beasts. Seeing this, Yang Ling walked and said, You can follow me if you want, but remember one thing. Don't bully men and women. Behave according to your duties. Once I find out that you're doing something illegal and disciplined, I will be the first to spare you. Hey Snake was overjoyed when he heard the words, patted his chest, and promised, Brother Yang, don't worry. I will definitely restrain my subordinates. Yang Ling nodded and said, Well, I'll give you another dash you want to change your outfits and tidy up your outfits. Black Snake hurriedly said, No, Brother Yang, I have the money. I'll clean up the little bastards later. Yang Ling said indifferently, No, I will pay the money. The voice was majestic and irresistible. Black Snake was slightly taken aback, and a little touched said, Brother Yang, we took you 50,000 without doing anything. I really feel. Don't worry, the brothers are all sensible. From now on, if you say a word, you will never frown even in the wind and rain. While adding his V letter, Yang Ling said with a smile, Who wants you to go up the mountain of swords and down the sea of fire? Okay, I'll give you a phone number. It belongs to a friend of mine. You can help me with things first. He directly gave Jiang Hua's phone number to Hey Snake and sent a V letter to him. After briefly explaining the matter, he waved his hand and sent Hey Snake to leave. Ding, you have fulfilled Black Snake's wish to follow you. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 9 out of 10. The corner of Yang Ling's mouth curled up, and seeing the two girls chattering, he simply sank down and digested what he had just gained. Now that there are 5 attribute points, he didn't hesitate to add them directly to his agility, bringing his agility to 30 points. Ding! It has been detected that the host's agility attribute has reached an integer, and a random reward is being drawn for you. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring skills and proficiency in singing. Singing proficiency. You have mastered various singing skills since the development of human beings. Yang Ling was overjoyed when he heard that. Finally got the skill again, although it's not a powerful combat skill. But good singing is fine. In this way, in terms of talent, he has proficiency in musical instruments, dancing, and singing. If he can add proficiency in acting to match his gradually increasing charm value, he will be a powerful little fresh meat. When he was secretly complacent, Yang Shui suddenly tugged on his sleeve and said with big watery eyes expectantly, Brother, I want to buy a car. Buy a car. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback, then turned around to look, but saw a BMW 4S franchise store not far away. Because he owns a helicopter and his agility will become higher and higher, it doesn't matter whether he buys a car or not, so he has never considered this aspect. After hesitating for a while, Yang Ling said in surprise, Little sister, you are still a student. What do you need a car for? Yang Shui giggled and said, If you have a car, in case Xiaoi and I are followed by bad guys, run fast. You see, we are so cute. Maybe someone is trying to plot against us, right, Xiaoi? Chun-Yi turned her head quickly when she heard the words, pretending not to know her. Just because you are cute, others will plot evil, and then you have to buy a car? According to you, there are so many cute girls on the street who want a car. Yang Ling looked at his sister with disdain, but suddenly realized a problem. I have offended a lot of people, and I've been thinking of dealing with him both openly and secretly. In case someone is after my sister, it is much safer to have a car. Thinking of this, he chuckled and said, Okay, safety first. I'll buy you one. Long live brother. Let's go quickly. Here Yang Shui couldn't be happier, but Chen Yi behind her and the passerby who accidentally overheard their conversation were speechless. There is nothing wrong with my sister acting like a baby and buying a car, but what kind of strange brain circuit is my brother? Safety first? Why don't you wear a helmet when you go out? Wouldn't it be safer to simply buy an excavator? Looking around at the stunned crowd, Chen Yi felt a little ashamed and blushed quickly followed her. The BMW 4S store is considered a relatively high-end place. As soon as the three of them entered, a clerk cordially shouted, Welcome, the car sales lady said with a professional smile. 3. What service do you need? Yang Shui giggled and said, Of course I'm here to buy a car. Buy a car? Has the little sister been weaned? Are you sure she didn't come in to drink water? The car sales lady complained in her heart, but she still smiled and said, Little sister, are your parents here? What? Yang Shui was slightly taken aback, then hugged Yang Ling's arm and giggled. Here, this is my parent. What? Your parents? The car sales lady looked at Yang Ling, and her heart skipped a beat. Oh, my little brother is so handsome. Seeing that the woman was staring at him in a daze, Yang Ling guessed that the charm value had worked, touched his nose, and said, I'm her brother. Do you have any cars suitable for girls? Show me. Good. The car sales lady quickly looked away, led the two to a red BMW, and introduced with a smile. This BMW series is bright in color and moderately priced. It's the best we sell. Very suitable for girls. Yang Ling didn't study the car either. He looked at the price, 20, shook his head slightly and said, It's too cheap. I'm afraid I won't be able to run fast in case of danger. Are there any more expensive ones? Do you want to run fast when encountering danger? The car sales lady opened her mouth. She has been selling cars for so long, and this is the first time she has heard someone choose a car like this. Many people in the store looked at the siblings. Chen Yi blushed and walked away quickly, pretending not to know them. The car sales lady thought that Yang Ling was joking and led them to another car and introduced, Sir, this BMW 5 Series accelerates faster than ordinary models, and the driving feel will be better. If your sister drives it, you can order a red car, which is very suitable. When Yang Shui saw the price, it was 50. She was startled and said, Brother, is this price? Before he finished speaking, Yang Ling said to himself, Well, the price is a bit low. Are there any more expensive ones? Stunned. This time, not only the car sales lady, but also the younger sister were stunned. Only sauce. I didn't say the price is low. What do you think? Everyone looked over, and many people had a look of sneer on their faces. This kid is wearing clothes worth 100 yuan, but he thinks the car worth 50 yuan is too cheap. Is it to be funny? Still making trouble? If it was someone else, the car sales lady might show her face, but there is no way. Yang Ling has a charm of 7 points, so handsome. The car sales lady brought Yang Ling and the others to another BMW and introduced, Sir, the price of these two BMW X6 top models is 82.5. The body is large, and the driving is more stable and safe. Besides, both the speed increase and the handling feel are very good. We also have a red series specially prepared for girls. Would you like to test drive it? Yang Ling looked at the two SUVs in front of him, smiled slightly, and said, Little sister, what do you think? Yang Shui felt a little overwhelmed at the moment. She whispered, Brother, the price of this car is too. Halfway through the conversation, I realized that it would be embarrassing to say that it was too expensive, so I pouted and said, The car is too big. I don't like it. Hearing this, Yang Ling smiled to the car sales lady beside him. My sister said the price is too cheap, and the car is too big. Yang Shui blushed and wailed in her heart. When did I say it was too cheap? Don't misunderstand others casually, okay? Everyone's eyes widened. You look handsome. Why are you so shameless? Even if you pretend to be aggressive, you have to look at your wallet. This car is too cheap, so my car is not a tractor? Even the car sales lady was a little unhappy. Isn't this handsome guy making fun of me? But at this time, Yang Ling had already walked in front of a convertible sports car and asked with a smile, "What's the performance of this car? Can you tell me about it?" This. Everyone gasped when they looked at it. Yang Ling actually fell in love with the new version of BMW i8. The car sales lady said in surprise, "First, sir, the cheapest price of this car is 180 million you." Yang Ling knew what she meant. After a faint smile, he looked at Yang Shui and said, "Little sister, do you like this car? Such a beautiful sports car. If you don't like it, you'll be a ghost." Yang Shui nodded blankly and stammered, "Brother, have you seen the label? What about 180 million?" At this time, some onlookers finally couldn't bear it anymore, and someone mocked, "Young man, there must be a limit to pretending to be aggressive. You don't look like a rich man, so why are you slapping your face here to pretend to be fat?" Another stylishly dressed girl giggled and said, "Little brother, are you still underage? My sister reminds you to do things according to your ability. If you are really that rich, buy me a car worth 50 yuan, and my sister is willing to be your lover." Yang Ling glanced at these melon eaters indifferently. Then his eyes fell on the car sales lady and said with a slight smile, "Is 180 million a middle match? In this way, I will give you 200 million to help me upgrade all aspects of the configuration." Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard the words. It was too much of a pretense. Is this kid suffering from delusional disorder? The car sales lady lowered her face and said impatiently, "Sir, there must be a limit to joking. Look for yourselves. I have to keep working." As he said that, he was about to turn around and leave, but suddenly caught a glimpse of Yang Ling's cell phone. The above account balance shows 650 million. She immediately gasped and exclaimed, You are really so rich." Yang Ling asked in surprise, "Is this a lot of money? By the way, do you sell the car or not? If not, I'll go to another house." "What? Sell, of course sell." "Sir, please wait a moment." There was a huge change in the attitude of the car sales lady. Manager, big business, come quickly." The melon-eating crowd at the scene also widened their eyes, and their jaws were about to drop from shock. "Brother, if you have money, don't dress like this. It's easy to be misunderstood. Okay? I beg you to buy a suit of clothes with the fraction of a car." Behind her, Chun-Yi opened her small mouth into an O shape, and Yang Shui had an expression of disbelief on her face. She stammered, "Brother, you really bought me this car?" Yang Ling asked strangely, "Don't you like it? Why? Don't you want to buy a car again?" After Yang Shui took a deep breath, she suddenly threw herself on the bodies of the two BMWs and shouted coquettishly, "I want to buy it, I want to buy it. This car is mine." Seeing her expression, Yang Ling smiled and shook his head. A moment later, the 4S clerk drove out a red BMW i8 from the warehouse, top of the line, exactly 200 million after the discount. After completing the formalities, the car sales lady almost wanted to hug Yang Ling and kiss her fiercely. She could get a commission of tens of thousands if the car was sold. It is possible to win such a big list. But the young man in front of him took it so lightly, and the full amount without interest. This little brother was so good-looking, she even vaguely expected Yang Ling to make some demands. Yang Ling seemed to see what she meant and shook his head with a smile at her, expressing that he was not interested. The car sales lady was stunned by this smile, and she froze in place, with little stars in her eyes. "Little brother, I want your V letter." "Ding, you have fulfilled Yang Shui's wish to buy car. Wish value +1, current progress, 10/10. "Ding, you have fulfilled the wish of the car sales lady to sell the car. The wish value is +1, the current progress, 11/10. "Ding, you smashed the desire of the people who eat melons to see you make a fool of yourself. Attribute points +1. Yang Ling smiled slightly and was about to drive away when suddenly the fragrant wind flashed in front of him and the young girl came beside him. She looked at Yang Ling with affection in her eyes and said, "Little brother, what's the point of bringing two little girls? Would you like to have a drink with my sister?" Yang Ling glanced at her, smiled lightly, and said, "Didn't you say I'm underage? Underage can't drink alcohol. You should find someone else." The woman giggled and suddenly stuffed a business card into Yang Ling's trouser pocket and whispered in her ear, "Little brother, I'll wait for you tonight." After saying that, he giggled and turned around. Yang Ling didn't care, got into the driver's seat, and drove away from the S4 shop. Driving the BMW i8 sports car, the rate of turning heads on the street is very high, and Yang Shui, who is sitting in the co-pilot seat, feels refreshed. A gust of cool wind blew head-on, blowing her long hair into the air. She felt the envious eyes of the people around her, and she felt both complacent and proud. "Brother, why are you so powerful all of a sudden? Want to be the jackpot?" Yang Ling smiled and said, "Your brother and I are already good. Well, where do you want to go next?" Yang Shui looked at Chun Yi in the back seat. Seeing her best friend shook her head casually, she hesitated and said, "Buy cosmetics, clothes, and bags. I have a lot of things I want to buy." Yang Ling shook his head with a smile. He didn't care about the money. There were plenty of ways to earn it. After a while, the car arrived at the entrance of the mall. Because there were no parking spaces, Yang Ling asked the parking lot administrator. Unexpectedly, the administrator saw that the car was so good and directly gave it to a VIP parking space at the entrance of the mall. Yang Ling thanked him, and under the amazed eyes of everyone, he led the two girls into the gate slowly. In front of the Brammy counter, Yang Shui and Chun Yi were chattering about choosing cosmetics when a surprise voice came from behind them. "Huh, Yang Shui? Chun Yi, what are you doing here?" The second daughter turned her head to look, but her expression froze. The visitors were a man and a woman. The woman was about 17 or 18 years old, about the same age as them, while the man looked to be in his 30s and was well-mannered. "Teacher Song Huang Lei." Yang Shui frowned and snorted softly. "You guys can come, why can't we come?" After the man glanced at Yang Shui, his eyes fixed on Chun Yi, his face showed embarrassment, but Huang Lei giggled and said, "Yes, of course you can come. If you can't afford it, you can always enjoy your eyesight, right? As for Brammy, even if it's a free trial product, it's dozens of times better than what you use. It's not for nothing, right?" Every word of this woman's words was sarcasm. Chun Yi seemed to be a little afraid of her, and quietly hid behind Yang Shui. Yang Shui is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Hearing this, she snorted softly. "Huang Lei, don't you need me to tell you about your family's conditions? Teacher Song obviously liked Xiaoyi before, so it's fine for you to interfere, and you still rely on the teacher's money to show off in front of us? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at when you say it?" It turned out that Huang Lei and the teacher, surnamed Song, turned out to be a teacher-student relationship, and this teacher Song originally liked Chun Yi. Huang Lei often made troubles for Chun Yi because of this at school. Yang Shui and Chun Yi are best friends. Naturally bad. Huang Lei's face darkened when she heard the words. She seemed to have been poked into a sore spot, and said with a sneer, "My family has no money, but I won't be as depraved as you are. Besides, the teacher and I have mutual wishes, so what's the matter with Chun Yi?" "Yang Shui, look at your outfit. Doesn't it cost more than 200 yuan? What face do you have to say about me? Still pretending to buy cosmetics here. Do you see the price? Do you deserve to be here?" The voice of these words was not low. Many people looked over, and they shook their heads slightly when they commented on Yang Shui and Chun Yi's attire. Even the salesperson at the counter sneered. Yang Shui blushed and said angrily, "I'm not qualified? Then you are eligible? A student who doesn't study, spends all day thinking about seducing men. You are a vixen. Whoever takes a fancy to you is blind." Yang Shui has always been tough. Her words directly turned Huang Lei's face blue with anger. Even the teacher, surnamed Song's face also turned down. Huang Lei gritted her teeth and sneered. "So what? What's the use of your good grades? I'm richer than you. I use better cosmetics than you, dress better than you, have a better phone than you, and have a better boyfriend than you. This is strength. This is the value of a woman. When we go out together, men will only look at me and not you. I am 100 times more popular than you. Two poor girls. Are you still talking about big things here? Go away. My boyfriend is going to buy cosmetics for me. You." Yang Shui's face flushed with anger, while Chun Yi clenched her fists and lowered her head, probably because she was hit by these words. Seeing this, the teacher surnamed Song hurried forward and said, Xiaoi, Huang Lei and I are getting closer, but it's not what you think. You are all my students. Can you give me a chance to explain? I'll buy you cosmetics too, okay? Let's drink juice together later. Before he could speak, he was pushed away by Yang Shui. Scumbag, you are not allowed to touch Xiaoi. Chun Yi raised her head to look at him and said with tears in her eyes, Mr. Song, you used to keep me as a tutor. You sent me messages every night. I thought it was for my study. But after the news about you and Huang Lei spread, I knew that you must have some other purpose. I've never liked you. Please don't harass me in the future. The teacher surnamed Song's face changed when he heard the words, and he fell silent when he saw Chen Yi. At this time, Yang Ling was walking with two packed IQX mobile phones. Seeing a group of people in front of him, he hurried over. Squeezing away from the crowd, seeing that the younger sister and Chun Yi were fine, he breathed a sigh of relief. Not knowing what was going on, he smiled and handed the phone to the two girls and said, No, one for each of you, one for you. It cost 1,000. Are you satisfied this time? The original embarrassing atmosphere was suddenly broken, and everyone's eyes widened. Where did this guy come from? One person, one AI crazy X? Do you want to be so exaggerated? Yang Shui took the phone angrily and stuffed the other into Chun Yi's arms, but she still looked at the two people in front of her angrily. Okay. Yang Ling frowned, and before he could ask, Huang Lei sneered, Yo, just now you said that you were a good student, so you already have a good friend? It's good to have a crazy ex. You seduce men together. Don't you want to be ashamed? What kind of match? Yang Ling glanced at the woman, frowned, and said, I'm Yang Shui's brother. Chun Yi and we grew up together. Is there any problem in buying them a mobile phone? Is it? Huang Lei sneered and said, So you're the little brother Ling that Chun Yi often talks about. I heard that you were some kind of administrator. People like you still have money to buy love madness. The two movies in your hand are not copycats, are they? Everyone was taken aback when they heard the words, and then showed suspicious eyes. After all, Yang Ling's clothes are really ordinary, no matter how you look at it. He looks like someone who can afford two crazy exes. Yang Ling glanced at the woman indifferently, as if looking at an ant. Ants grin at people. Can people yell back at ants? Calmly withdrew his gaze. He smiled and said to Yang Shui, Didn't you mean to buy cosmetics? Ready. Yang Shui snorted softly. I'm annoyed seeing this pair of dogs and men, brother. Let's go and buy from another family. Is it annoying to see us? Or do you have no money to buy? Wang Lei sneered relentlessly and said, Poor is poor. Do you really think you are rich with a counterfeit mobile phone? Let's go. Don't embarrass yourself here again. Yang Shui was so angry that her teeth were itchy. She stomped her feet and pulled Yang Ling to leave, but Yang Ling stopped in her tracks. How could a brother let his sister be bullied like this? He glanced at Huang Lei coldly and said, I've come here already. Wouldn't it be a waste of time to change places? As soon as this remark came out, everyone was slightly taken aback. After Yang Ling glanced at the cosmetic box on the counter, he said lightly, How much is the hardcover edition of Sky Blue Heart? The voice was not angry and arrogant, and the salesperson replied almost instinctively, 2 sets. Everyone opened their mouths when they heard the words, as if they had a premonition that something big was about to happen. Yang Ling hummed, then turned to Yang Shui and said, Little sister, how often do you use a set of facial masks and essences? Yang Shui calculated with her fingers. If you use it every day, you will have to buy a new one in 2 months. Yang Ling nodded, looked at the salesperson, and said calmly, For this Sky Blue Heart, I'll buy 10 sets. 10 sets. Everyone felt their hearts tremble, and it was hard to believe their ears. 10 sets are worth 20 yuan. The money can be used to buy a car and cosmetics. Could this person have lost his mind and lost his mind? The salesperson froze in place, with his mouth open as if he had forgotten to breathe. Wang Lei and the teacher, surnamed Song, were also stunned, their faces full of disbelief. Suddenly regaining consciousness, Wang Lei sneered and said, Your Yang family doesn't have 20 yuan in all their belongings. You really dare to open your mouth and come here. Before the words were finished, a man came running not far away. It was the parking lot attendant from just now. He breathed a sigh of relief after seeing Yang Ling. Boss, can you move your BMW sports car? We have a truck arrive. BMW sports car? Everyone was dumbfounded, and Wang Lei's eyes were about to pop out. She said with difficulty, You mean this person has a BMW sport car? The parking lot attendant nodded strangely and said, Yes, the boss has a sports car here today, and I won't recognize the wrong person. There was a sound of gasping in the field. I am really blind. Can someone who can drive a BMW sports car have no money to buy cosmetics? Even if he bought the entire counter, there would be no problem. Yang Shui glanced at Wang Lei proudly and snorted softly. What are you looking at? Straight eyebrows? My family's BMW is also a counterfeit one. Are you satisfied? This girl is sharp-tongued. How could she be a loser? He was beaten back on the spot. Yang Ling didn't bother to look at Wang Lei's expression. He looked at the administrator and said, Miss, do you sell cosmetics? If you don't sell it, I can leave. The salesperson was alert and hurriedly said, Sir, wait a moment. I'll go get the goods right away. With the woman's departure, everyone came to their senses and looked at the three of them with envy and hatred, while Wang Lei looked at Yang Ling with a pale face and complicated eyes. Ding, you smash Wang Lei's wish to mock Yang Shui. Attribute point +1. Ding, you fulfilled Yang Shui and Chun Yi's wish to buy cosmetics, and the wish value is +1. Ding, you have fulfilled the salesperson's wish to make a big deal. Wish value +1, current progress, 13/10. The corner of Yang Ling's mouth turned up when he saw this, and suddenly saw Chun Yi, who had been silent for a while and had red eyes, and asked in surprise, Xiaoyi, what's wrong with you? Chun Yi wiped away her tears and shook her head slightly. Yang Shui, who was beside her, pulled her behind her, looked at the teacher surnamed Song bitterly, and said, Scumbag, I warn you, if you dare to harass Xiaoyi again, I will. Just put the message you sent to Xiaoyi on the internet. Make you look good. Teacher Song's face turned ugly, and he wanted to say something, but when he saw Yang Ling's gaze, his heart sank. After hesitating for a while, he snorted softly, Yang Shui, you and Chini are both my students, and taking care of students is what a teacher should do. Remember, you have one more semester at school, and I think you know what I'm talking about. You, Yang Shui said angrily. You are threatening me. The teacher, surnamed Song, sneered, looked at Chun Yi and said, Xiaoyi, I did send you some words of concern before, but it was only out of the friendship between teachers and students. I hope you don't misunderstand, let alone rumor. Otherwise, no matter how rich this Mr. Yang is, the school will not be afraid of anything. With all that said, you can do it for yourself. Saying that, Wang Lei, who was still looking dull, was about to leave, but at this moment, a faint voice came from behind. This teacher, please wait a moment. Only Yang Ling said calmly. For what you said just now, you're going to deal with my two younger sisters at school? The teacher, surnamed Song, sneered. I never said such a thing. But the school is a sacred place. Even if you have money, it may not be useful. Oh, Yang Ling sneered and said, the school is indeed a sacred place, but it's not an umbrella for scum. As he spoke, he took out his cell phone and made a call calmly. Everyone's eyes widened, seeing what Yang Ling could do. Soon, a majestic voice came from the other end of the phone. Hi, I'm Xiao Wenyu, who is looking for me. Although the voice of the mobile phone's microphone is not loud, it can be heard in the field at this moment, and everyone can hear it clearly. Xiao Wenyu? Everyone was doubting their ears. This is the largest collar island in S City. On that day, the Lingdao took Song Baoi to Yang Ling's house to express condolences. When parting, the superior secretary gave him a business card, and Yang Ling directly stored it in his phone. This will be a phone call directly to Lingdao's mobile phone. Yang Ling smiled lightly and said, Lingdao, I'm Xiao Yang. Oh, is it Yang Ling? You kids still dare to call me. You said how you passed the exam. Lao Song, and I helped you blow out all the flowers. This is great. Where can I put my old face? Come to my office immediately after the results are released. I have to educate you, you little bastard. At first glance, these words sounded like a criticism of Yang Ling, but to the ears of the melon eaters, it was like thunder on the ground. The largest island in S City actually complained about the young man in front of him in the tone of an elder, with a tone of hatred for iron. What is the relationship between the two? This kid can't be a relative of Ling Dao. Caught off guard, Yang Ling was taught a lesson and smiled wryly. Leader, I'll explain this to you next time. I called you today to respond to something. Oh, a curious voice came from the other end of the phone. Tell me, what happened again? Yang Ling glanced at the pale teacher, surnamed Song, and smiled lightly. That's right, there's a teacher in my sister's school. He briefly narrated a long story. But unexpectedly, there was a bang on the table at the end of the sentence. There is such a thing. Xiaoling, you reacted well. One mouse droppings can't spoil a pot of soup. We must not mix such scum in our teaching staff. The Ling Dao seemed so angry that he even forgot to hang up the phone, and his shout came from the phone. Secretary Dong, look up Song from 13 High School for me. Yang Ling hung up the phone calmly, glanced at the teacher, surnamed Song lightly, and said with a sneer, I said before, the school is not an umbrella for scum. This time it seems that it's not me who can do it for myself. It's you who can do it for yourself. The Ling Dao wanted to investigate. This person, surnamed Song, might not be able to be a teacher, and it might be even worse. Everyone looked at him with pity. Teacher Song's face was extremely pale, and Wang Lei beside her was also pale. Ding, you smashed Teacher Song's wish to threaten your sister and Chen-Yi. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 14/10. A moment later, after paying the bill, Yang Ling wandered out with the two girls and drove away in a sports car, leaving only the envious eyes of the melon eaters. Brother, you are so amazing. In the car, Yang Shui hugged Yang Ling's waist coquettishly. Today, she really experienced what it means to be a female dick 1 second and be rich and beautiful the next. Now she simply shouldn't admire Yang Ling too much. Yang Ling patted her head and said, Don't be complacent. If you fail the exam, don't expect me to buy you anything in the future. Hee hee. Then I'll pester you. Don't think I'll let you go. As she spoke, she hugged her even tighter. Yang Ling smiled helplessly, and suddenly, Chen-Yi's weak voice came from behind. Little brother Ling, thank you so much for today. Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard the words, then reached out and touched her small head as well, and said with a slight smile, We grew up together, my sister is wild. You have to help me look after her from now on. Ah. Chen-Yi's face was flushed with embarrassment. She stammered and said, Well, I will definitely take care of Xiaoxue. When did this little girl become so shy? Yang Ling murmured something in his heart, but he didn't care. Instead, he asked, It's a bit early after dinner. Is there any place you want to go? Yang Shui immediately got excited when she heard the words. She giggled and said, Brother, I'm going to Kaijiren Beauty Center. It is natural for a girl to love beauty. Since my sister has said so, let her wish be fulfilled. A moment later, the Kaijiren underground parking lot. As the most high-end beauty center in the city, there are quite a lot of luxury cars in the parking lot, and there's also a special etiquette receptionist who is in charge of reception at the door. Seeing the three of Yang Ling approaching in a sports car, Miss Manners hurried up to greet them. This time, there were no twists and turns. Yang Ling simply spent 20 yuan to get a VIP annual card for each of the two beauties. The manager of the beauties smiled happily and decided to give Yang Ling a full body massage in the spa. Of course, Yang Ling didn't resist this kind of request. It's just that it's not convenient now. Ding, you have fulfilled Yang Shui's wish. Wish value +1, current progress, 15/10. Ding, you crushed the manager's desire to give you a massage. Attribute points +1. Just as he was about to leave, a young woman suddenly walked out of the spa room. Mr. Yang. Han Yakin was slightly taken aback when she saw Yang Ling, and Yang Ling also looked at her in surprise. After a mysterious silence, Yang Ling suddenly laughed and said, Manager Han, today is a working day, right? You don't go to work and come here for beauty treatment? It seems that the work is done. When Han Yakin heard the half-joking words, she stuck out her tongue lightly and said, I was caught by Mr. Yang for being lazy. Are you following him secretly? Yang Ling laughed and said, there are a lot of male colleagues who want to follow Manager Han. I don't dare to be the first bird. Giggle. Mr. Yang's words are really funny. Han Yakin chuckled for a while, then turned to look at the two little beauties behind Yang Ling and said curiously, these two little sisters are? Yang Shui stood in front of Yang Ling angrily and hummed softly, I'm her sister. Auntie, my brother is not controlled by Sister Yu. If there is nothing else, we will leave first. Aunt, Han Yakin twitched her eyebrows when she heard the words and then burst out laughing. Little sister, are you brother control? Brother control? Yang Shui's face turned red suddenly, and she stammered. How is it possible? You are the brother control. Giggle. When Han Yakin saw the little girl's expression, she laughed even more tremblingly. Yang Ling patted his sister's head helplessly and said, Manager Han, if there's nothing else, we'll leave first. See you at the company next time. After saying that, she was about to turn around and leave with the second daughter. But before she had gone far, Han Yakin suddenly called out, Boss Yang, something happened in the company recently. Is it convenient for Fong to have a meal together? Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard the words. Seeing that Han Yakin was serious and it was time for dinner again, he hesitated for a moment, then nodded. In a Western restaurant, Yang Shui and Chun Yi were eating a piece of steak excitedly. Han Yakin shook the juice in her hand and said, Mr. Yang, you also know that the group has been committed to developing in many fields. A few years ago, it established a market the Project Development Center is dedicated to expanding business. Previously, Wang Chao was the general manager of the development center, but he didn't do anything other than buy a website. Instead, he lost nearly -million yuan. After Wang Chao's accident, the position of the general manager is now vacant, and all kinds of things have been suspended. Upon hearing this, Yang Ling asked curiously, You mean the headquarters is planning to restart this project? Han Yakin nodded and said, Only Director Liu and the bosses in charge of the general manager know about this matter. I also heard a little rumor because I was in charge of personnel appointments. Then he looked at Yang Ling seriously and said, Mr. Yang, I don't know if you have heard the news. Because of the college entrance examination, the general manager's office and several directors of the group are dissatisfied with you. The position of general manager of the project center is very important. Once someone else takes it, I'm afraid it will affect your status in the company. Yang Ling smiled lightly when he heard the words. You mean I will be excluded? After a moment of silence, Han Yakin nodded slightly. Yang Ling didn't say a word and calmly looked at the beautiful young woman in front of her. Time didn't seem to have left many marks on her, but at this moment, she was frowning slightly, looking a little preoccupied. As if sensing the change in the atmosphere, Chun Yi gently tugged on Yang Shui's sleeve, and the two of them even ate their food much softer. After a moment of silence, Yang Ling suddenly laughed. He picked up his glass and took a sip of Coke, then said with a faint smile, Manager Han, you're not just worried about me when you tell me these things? I seem to understand a little bit what you mean. It seems that the pool of Muhua Group is quite deep. Han Yakin looked at the young man in front of her in surprise. She has been working in personnel affairs for so many years, and she has met countless people. She has already developed a pair of discerning eyes. Even Lu Muhan, the chairman, is confident that she can figure out some of the other party's thoughts. But the young man in front of him, who always had a faint smile, seemed to be shrouded in a ray of light, full of mysteries, which made her completely incomprehensible. But she is a smart person, and so is Yang Ling. I have proud capital, and I can be clever and self-willed, but on such issues, being clever is the most stupid way. She put down her wine glass suddenly, staring at Yang Ling, and said seriously, Mr. Yang, I want to be with you from now on. Puff. Yang Shui and Chun Yi spit out the juice in their mouths almost at the same time. Yang Shui said hurriedly, Annie, my brother really doesn't like miss you. You're still whining. Before he finished speaking, Yang Ling stuffed a piece of steak into his mouth. Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, This is the second person who said that to me today. Tell me, what is the situation at the headquarters now? Han Yakin was overjoyed when she heard that. Yang Ling had already promised herself by saying so. The cloud on her face disappeared, and she said with a light smile, Mr. Yang, it starts with the composition of our group. 10 minutes later, Yang Ling figured out the ins and outs. Muhua Group was founded by Lu Muhan's father, and its market value has reached tens of billions. In the group, Lu Muhan currently holds an absolute 51% of the shares, while the other 49% of the shares are held by large and small shareholders. 3 of them hold more than 15% of the shares, and they are regarded as one of the major shareholders of Muhua Group. The company needs a balance, and Lu Muhan can't have the final say alone, so these 3 shareholders need spokespersons. Their former spokesperson was Wang Chao. This person has no ability and no character, but because his father once took a bullet for Mr. Lu, even if he puts cronies in the company or even embezzles public funds, the Lu family will turn a blind eye. The 3 major shareholders are even more happy to see the success. Over time, almost half of the company's management was directly or indirectly promoted by him, and even 4 of the 5 chief executives were promoted by him alone. The most serious problem this caused was that people like Yin Xing and Han Yakin, who were really talented and capable, couldn't get in, and the people who got up were all Wang Chao's cronies. Now that Wang Chao was directly slaughtered by Yang Ling, the 3 directors were eager to introduce a new agent, and the group of managers promoted by Wang Chao were also worried that they would fall down. The most important thing is that Lu Muhan seems to be going to rectify the internal affairs. If this continues, she knows that the group will be destroyed by these people sooner or later. This turned into a confrontation between 2 interest groups. At this time, Yang Ling took up the position of vice president as a member of the Lu family, which was tantamount to dropping a heavy bomb on the dark and turbulent lake. Either blow up others or blow up yourself. After listening to Han Yakin's narration, Yang Ling felt a little helpless. The old man is still scheming. Push yourself out to attract fire so that your granddaughter can sit in the back and take control of the situation. Seeing the helpless look on Yang Ling's face, Han Yakin was slightly startled, thinking that the young man was going to back down, and hurriedly said, Boss Yang, although the situation is complicated, the overall situation is not that bad. With Director Lu here, it is enough to offset the pressure of the 3 directors and the general manager's office. We only need to come a little bit. You don't have to worry about safety. In the afternoon, I communicated with Yin Xing on the phone, and I plan to go through the process to equip you with 2 bodyguards. Her voice became smaller and smaller because Yang Ling was looking at her in surprise. Strange, is there something on my face? Han Yakin touched her face instinctively. Apart from the smooth skin, there wasn't anything strange stuck on it. She asked with some anxiety, Mr. Yang, do you have any other ideas? Yang Ling said strangely, Manager Han, have you misunderstood something? What? Han Yakin was a little puzzled, but Yang Ling said calmly, Do you think I'll take this group of rotten fish and shrimp seriously? What? She came to her senses and said hastily, Yes, with your skill, ordinary people can't hurt you. It's Yin Xing and I who are worried. No, you misunderstood. Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, I didn't mean that. I'm talking about the 3 directors and the people in charge of the general manager. They are all rotten fish and shrimp. Forehead. Han Yakin was dumbfounded. Is this man talking about a joke? The 3 directors worth more than 1 billion yuan, and the powerful general manager and boss are all rotten fish and rotten shrimp? So what are you and Yin Xing? Rotten tomatoes or rotten eggs? But looking at Yang Ling's expression, she seemed to be saying these things for granted. There seemed to be an inexplicable emotion deep in the boy's eyes, and the woman's intuition told her that Yang Ling was not joking. He really thinks these people are rotten fish and rotten shrimp. In that indifferent look, there seemed to be a taste of overlooking all living beings and standing on top. What kind of confidence is this? Seeing Han Yakin froze in place, Yang Ling seemed to realize that what he had said was a bit exaggerated. He said with a smile, Okay, I know about it. Whenever I'm free, I'll help Dong Lu with this. As for what you said before, I also promise you, follow me like Yin Xing in the future. This is an understatement. Although it seems to be pretending to break through the sky, Han Yakin has a feeling of a big rock falling in his heart. A sense of security filled her heart. She suddenly smiled and said, President Yang, I think I'm with the right person. Yang Ling shook the coke in his hand, said with a faint smile, It should be. The atmosphere suddenly eased, and both Yang Shui and Chun Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Now because Han Yakin and her brother are on the same front, Yang Shui's attitude changed immediately. She giggled and said, Auntie, my brother is very powerful. You must be with the right person. It's so late. Won't you be misunderstood by your husband when you eat with us? Girls like to gossip, and Yang Shui's indirect trick really worked. Han Yakin sighed softly. Actually, I've been divorced a long time ago. Yang Shui and Chun Yi looked at each other and stuck out their tongues lightly. Chun Yi whispered, Sister is so beautiful. There must be many people chasing her. Finally, someone called her sister. Han Yakin smiled. Hee, this little sister has such a sweet mouth. Sister and me, naturally a lot of stinky men followed. I tricked your brother out today, just to use him as my shield. Shield? Both Yang Ling and the second daughter were taken aback for a moment, but as if to confirm her words, a handsome middle-aged man in a white suit, about 40 years old, walked over quickly. He naturally sat beside Han Yakin and said with a gentlemanly smile, Yakin, we made an appointment at 8 o'clock. Why did you come here so early? Han Yakin regained her goddess temperament at this moment and said lightly, I have nothing to do. Just come here first. The man smiled and nodded, then looked at Yang Ling and the other three and asked curiously, Are these three? Are all children of your relatives? Come a play during the summer vacation? What? A relative's child? Han Yakin let out a chuckle, and seeing Yang Ling rolled her eyes, she covered her mouth and smiled lightly. Mr. Feng, let me introduce you. This is the new vice president of the headquarters, Mr. Yang. Boss Yang. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes at once. It is said that the new vice president is very young, but he did not expect to be so young after meeting. Isn't this just a high school student? Han Yakin said again, Mr. Yang, this is the person in charge of the subsidiary in City M, Feng Gang. Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, Mr. Feng, hello. Feng Gang glanced at Yang Ling with obvious hostility in his eyes. After looking Yang Ling up and down, he sneered and said, Mr. Yang, how are you? It is said that you are very young. It seems that the rumors are true. However, Mr. Yang, I don't know if I should raise my opinion or not. Seeing this, Han Yakin frowned, with a look of displeasure on her face. The level of the person in charge of the subsidiary is equivalent to the head or director of a department under the general manager's office of the group. That is, at the same level as Yin Xing and Han Yakin. But because he is in charge of the outside world, his status is actually slightly higher. This is the reason why Yin Xing wants to take charge of a region. But even so, Yang Ling's level is still 2 levels higher than Feng Gang's. So let's not make any comments, just this person's attitude, needless to say, is naturally one of the 3 directors. Yang Ling didn't seem to care much. He said lightly, Since Mr. Feng has an opinion, let's listen to it. Feng Gang said mockingly, The president is one of the faces of the company, and the image is very important. On such a high-end occasion, Mr. Yang, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to wear a t-shirt and jeans? Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard the words. He had encountered a lot of things today, and he really didn't have time to buy clothes yet. He laughed and said, It doesn't matter what clothes you wear, what matters is who wears the clothes. Mr. Feng, are you and Manager Han here today for a date? Feng Gang said confidently, Yes, but unfortunately, there are a group of light bulbs here. Oh, Mr. Yang, I forgot to remind you of something. I know a few big brothers in M City, and they will bring their girlfriends here for a quick meal. You also know that the elder brother is fierce. It would be bad if he frightens you and the 2 younger sisters. How about you go back first? Threat. This is threatening Yang Ling. The inside and outside words even threaten the safety of my sister and Chun Yi. After saying this, Feng Gang got himself a glass of red wine and looked at Yang Ling in a leisurely manner. Yang Ling looked at the man a little strangely, then turned to look at Han Yakin and said, "Manager Han, you said you want me to be a shield, and this is the man to shield, right?" "What?" Han Yakin opened her mouth. On the one hand, she also heard Feng Gang's threat. On the other hand, she really hoped that Yang Ling would act as a shield to block some stinky men for her. But she didn't expect this President Yang to say it so directly. She looked at Yang Ling, and then at Feng Gang, who was sneering. She never thought that things would turn out like this. She stood up suddenly and said angrily, "Feng Gang, do you know what you were talking about?" Feng Gang said with a smile, "I just remind Mr. Yang that the children should go home and sleep. There is no other meaning." Han Yakin's face was pale. She was really afraid that those so-called big brothers would come over. If she hurt Yang Ling or the two little girls, she would be guilty of a serious crime. He hurriedly said, "Mr. Yang, pretend I didn't say what I said before. Can you go back first? I'll explain to you tomorrow." Yang Ling glanced at her in surprise and smiled slightly. "Don't bother." As soon as the words fell, the wine glass in his hand had already been slapped on Feng Gang's face. Boom! With a muffled sound, Feng Gang lay on the ground with blood streaming down his face before he even uttered a scream. The whole length is silent, and there is no sound. Everyone was stunned by the violent young man. Yang Ling wiped the coke on his hands with a napkin, got up and walked in front of Feng Gang, and wiped it off like stepping on an ant. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, there were shrill screams resounding throughout the Western restaurant. "Ah, it hurts!" Yang Ling looked down at Feng Gang and said flatly, "Boss Feng, it's fine if you say you threatened me alone. Why threaten my two younger sisters? I hate family members who are threatened by others the most." There was a look of fear in Feng Gang's eyes, and he didn't remember it until now. It is said that this master is a person who can force VIPs to kneel at family banquets. I was really obsessed with ghosts and dared to speak up in front of him. I only heard Feng Gang screaming miserably, "I dare not, Mr. Yang, I dare not. Forgive me. Forgive me this time, okay?" "Forgive you," Yang Ling said coldly. "If my family and I fall into your hands, will you spare them?" Feng Gang was suffocated when he heard the words, and he didn't answer a word. So Yang Ling kicked down again. The second leg broke on the spot. The shrill roar resounded throughout the hall, then stopped abruptly, and Feng Gang passed out again. Everyone looked at the young man in fear, not daring to breathe. "I'm a fair person. If you threaten my two younger sisters, I'll break your legs." Yang Ling sneered, turned to Han Yakin, and said, "Manager Han, I don't think this person will come to harass you for the time being." Han Yakin was dumbfounded. She really wanted Yang Ling to act as a shield for her, but wasn't that too straightforward? "Both legs are broken. It's hard to harass myself. This is not called quitting in the face of difficulties. This is called a one-stop. Ding, you have fulfilled Han Yakin's wish for you to be a shield. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 16/10. At this time, a group of men with dark glasses and fierce faces suddenly came from the gate. Some of these men were bald, some had tattoos, and they looked like fierce wanderers. And they all brought a fashionable young girl with them. Presumably, they were the group of big brothers Feng Gang was talking about. The group of people were stunned for a moment after seeing this scene, and then the leading man shouted angrily, "Who dares to hurt my friend? Brother Panther!" Han Yakin's legs were a little weak when she saw the person coming. He met this person when he was on a business trip to M City. This person contracted 7 or 8 earthwork sites and opened many entertainment venues. This is the real boss. Although this brother leopard is well known, he is not reckless. Like this kind of boss who licks blood on the edge of a knife generally has a keen intuition. His instinct told himself that the boy in front of him was not easy to mess with. Yang Ling looked at the group of people indifferently and said calmly, "Brother Bao, right? Since Feng is always your friend, I'll get it back to you." As he spoke, he raised his foot and kicked Feng Gang directly on the ass, kicking him in front of Brother Bao with a bang. This, Brother Leopard's heart skipped a beat, and he knew that this young man was absolutely extraordinary. However, he's a famous person after all. If his fear recedes now, He might be ridiculed by his peers. He glanced at Phone Gang on the ground and said in a deep voice, "Boy, I don't know which path you are on, but you hurt my friend. If you don't give an explanation today, don't think about it." "Explain." Yang Ling sneered and said, "Okay, I'll give you an explanation." At this moment, the woman next to Brother Bao giggled and said, "Brother Bao, the two girls next to this boy are very handsome. Isn't our place short of schoolgirls? Why don't you take them in and make money to pay for Brother Feng's medical expenses?" As soon as this remark came out, the other enchanting women giggled, but Yang Shui and Chun hid behind Yang Ling in fear, with fear in their eyes. Brother Bao's heart skipped a beat, and he frowned and was about to say something, when suddenly a strong wind rang in his ears, accompanied by 4 screams. These women were hit by the dinner plate directly in front of the door, lying on the ground with their heads bleeding, howling. "What?" Everyone was taken aback, especially Brother Bao and the others. They all had fists and kicks, but no one found out how Yang Ling did it. At this time, Yang Ling's face was gloomy, holding a coin in his hand, and walking towards Brother Bao and the others step by step. A cold aura pervaded from him, making everyone nearby feel terrified. Murderous look. Brother Leopard was taken aback. Others may not know it, but Brother Leopard reacted instantly. This is a kind of power that only the real strong can unleash. He knew that he had kicked the iron plate today, so he quietly held the handle of the sprayer on his waist with his right hand and said in his mouth, "Brother, I don't know which way you are on, but I advise you not to move forward. Gone. Otherwise, there will be no eyes under the spray." Hearing this, Yang Ling really stopped in his tracks. He sneered and said, "The last person who pointed a spray at me is already dead. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. The woman next to you broke 2 legs. The one who laughed just now had 1 leg. Do it yourself." "What?" The big men behind Brother Bao glared at him and were about to strike, but Brother Bao stopped him. He said in a deep voice, "Little brother, you should know who I am. If I really listen to what you say, I won't have to mess around anymore. I know you are a great person, but the 4 of us, even if you have great abilities, you will not be able to please us. You can pay some medical expenses for today's matter, and that's all you need to save face. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will be buried here with all your abilities." The situation has developed to the point where everyone is stunned. They hold their breath and concentrate, but they dare not even breathe out, let alone run away. Yang Ling suddenly laughed when he heard this. "Brother Leopard, your method won't work with me. I'll count to 3. If you don't break their legs, I'll break all of your legs." At this time, the system voice sounded in my mind. "Ding, the range perception skill is activated, and the current 4 threatening enemies are about to attack you. Please be ready. 3, 2. Brother Bao took a deep breath, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he shouted loudly, "Move!" Before the words fell, suddenly there was the sound of an electric arc in the field. Crack! Accompanied by the sound of thunder, all the lights in the entire Western restaurant were dimmed at this moment. In an environment where you can't see your fingers, there is a thunder that cuts through the darkness and illuminates a corner. The next moment, Brother Leopard saw a scene he would never forget. The boy in front of him had thunder hovering all over his body, and electric arcs were beating in his eyes. It was as if the god of thunder from the 9 heavens had descended to the world and was about to wash away all sins. "What?" The screams sounded at the same time, and then his whole body went numb, his body twitched uncontrollably, and he lay on the ground foaming at the mouth. "Zizi!" The sound of the arc dissipated, the lights in the hall came back to life, and no one could stand in front of Yang Ling. Brother Bao and the other 8 people were all foaming at the mouth, lying on the ground convulsively. All of this happened in a blink of an eye, and everyone felt that their eyes went dark and then lit up again, and the battle was over. No, this is not a battle at all, but a unilateral crush. Everyone was stunned. What happened now was beyond their understanding, and they all froze in place, motionless. The thunder in Yang Ling's eyes slowly dissipated. He sneered, walked up to Brother Bao, and said calmly, "Everyone has to pay for what they say and the choices they make. This is what I will tell you." Then stomped down. Brother Bao let out a miserable scream, and his leg had already been crushed. Yang Ling then walked up to the girl who spoke just now and kicked twice under the fearful eyes of the girl. Crack! Both calves were broken in an instant, and the woman passed out without even screaming. Afterwards, Yang Ling kicked out several trolls on the ground continuously, and the trolls hit the rest of the people's calves like a hammer under great force. There was a bone-cracking sound that made people toothache, and the so-called big brothers who were so arrogant just now all broke their legs at this moment. The continuous screams woke everyone up. They looked at Yang Ling with a look of terror in their eyes, and deep down in their hearts, they even wanted to worship the boy. This is the crushing of the life level. From the moment Yang Ling gained the control of thunder, his life level has been sublimated. Once this skill is released, it will make everyone who feels it feel a sense of worship. Ding, you have smashed Brother Bao and others' desire to solve your problem. Attribute point +1. Ding, you fulfilled the wish of Han Yakin and others not to have any accidents. Wish value +1, current progress, 17/10. After finishing all this, Yang Ling turned around to look at Han Yakin and the other three as if nothing had happened, and said with a slight smile, "It seems that this meal will not be finished. Let's go, elder brother." Brother Ling. The second girl was overly frightened and threw herself into Yang Ling's arms, wiping her tears on his clothes. Yang Ling smiled slightly, looked at Han Yakin and said, "Manager Han, let's go." Han Yakin took a deep breath to calm herself down. Looking at the smiling young man in front of her, a sense of security surged into her heart. Nodding slightly, she threw a few banknotes on the table and followed quickly. It's getting late, so many things happened today, and the two little girls are also tired. Yang Ling bid farewell to Han Yakin and drove towards Tianjin Garden in a BMW sports car. On the way, because Chunyi was afraid, she insisted on sitting in the co-pilot's seat, hugging Yang Ling's waist tightly and not letting go, but Yang Shui had a carefree temper, and after a while she seemed to be fine. She asked curiously, "Brother, when did you become so powerful?" Yang Ling had thought of an excuse a long time ago, and said with a chuckle, "Do you still remember that old man with white beard we met in the countryside when we were young?" Yang Shui was slightly taken aback, and said in surprise, "No way, didn't my mother say that he is a charlatan? Did I really teach you how to do it?" Yang Ling said, "I learned a little bit from him, but I didn't understand it before, and I suddenly figured it out during this period of time." "What the hell?" Yang Shui pouted and said, "I just said that the old man is an expert, but my mother still doesn't believe it." "Brother, you sneaked away to learn your skills and didn't take me with you. It's disgusting. I won't be with you." Yang Ling shook his head with a smile, reached out and touched his sister's head and said, "With your IQ, even if you learn it, you won't be able to learn it. It's just a waste of time." Ugh, how stupid am I? Yang Shui was hit hard, but she wasn't angry. Instead, she got up and put her arms around Yang Ling's neck from behind and said coquettishly, "It doesn't matter. It's just that you didn't take me to learn. In the future, you will protect me and buy me a lot of things." Yang Ling rolled his eyes and said angrily, "Okay, can you let me go? Do you understand dangerous driving?" "Drive." "Oops," Yang Shui whispered. "Brother, we don't have a driver's license." "What?" Yang Ling slapped his forehead, but it turned out to be his sister's little head. He laughed and said, "It seems like a roar. It seems that we can't drive this car after buying it. When you finish the final exam, let's go to learn the driver's license together." The two brothers and sisters were talking and laughing, and Chun-Yi also calmed down in such an atmosphere, but thinking that she had been hugging her brother and not letting go, under Yang Shui's funny eyes, she blushed and lowered her head for a while. Say nothing. A while later, the three of them drove to Tianjin Garden, but were stopped by security guards. Although this car is very powerful, non-community vehicles are not allowed to enter. Seeing this, Yang Ling smiled and said, "Old he, it's me. I bought a car, let me in." Yang Ling often went in and out of the community. Because of his charm, the security guards liked to talk to him, and they became familiar with him over time. The old security guard, he was slightly taken aback, then looked at the two beautiful girls on the BMW, laughed and said, "It's Xiaoyang, You can do it. I was driving a helicopter a few days ago, and today I'm driving a BMW. Could it be that you are next to a rich woman? Yang Shui giggled and said, That's right, uncle. The rich woman is me. You? Oldie laughed and said, Come on. Have you weaned off your milk, little girl? You? Yang Shui snorted softly and was hit again by the security uncle. By the way, Xiao Yang, don't you have a girlfriend in your family? Why you still bring a woman into your home? You kid is not messing with men and women, is it? Girlfriend? Yang Shui and Chun Yi's ears pricked up, and Yang Ling hurriedly said, Don't talk nonsense. These two are my younger sisters. Okay, I'm leaving. Let's talk tomorrow. Oldie watched them leave slowly enviously, suddenly thought of something, and shouted, Xiao Yang, people from Muhua property will be here in a few days. Don't forget what I told you. Know it. On the way home, the atmosphere suddenly became weird. Yang Shui had a half-smile expression on her face, while Chun Yi was pouted, obviously a little angry. Yang Ling smiled wryly, guessing that it would be lively later. Sure enough, as soon as she got home, Yang Shui rushed in, pretending to be dead with Chu Xin. Ouch! The two girls fell to the ground at the same time. Chu Xin yelled, A Ling, you! Before the words fell, she froze. And Yang Shui was also stunned. Both of them had the same thought in their hearts. What a beautiful girl. After a brief absence, Yang Shui said angrily, Brother, you really have a girlfriend? No, without my permission, I don't admit it. Chun Yi looked at the beautiful sister in front of her. Her eyes were a little red, and she looked aggrieved. Chu Xin blinked, looked at Yang Ling, and said, Xiao Ling, they are. After a while, Yang Shui on the sofa snorted softly. No wonder you don't go home every day. So you are accompanied by such a beautiful big sister. I think if something happened to me today, you would have forgotten me in Xiaoi. Chu Xin laughed and said, Xiao Xue, your brother is also a normal boy. Of course he likes to live with his beautiful sister. You, Yang Shui said angrily. Xiaoi is 100 times more beautiful than you. Chu Xin giggled and said, But she's not yet of age. According to the law, cohabiting with a minor is a crime. Isn't it, Xiaoling? Yang Ling smiled wryly. He had better not intervene when this kind of girls quarreled, so as not to get burnt. Yang Shui snorted. Xiaoi cohabited voluntarily. It's not a crime. Xiaoi, what do you think? Chun Yi's face was hot, and she covered her face with her hands, not knowing what to say. Chu Xin giggled and said, Also, you guys are staying here. Where does Xiao Ling sleep? Are you willing to let him sleep on the sofa? This? Yang Shui and Chun Yi were speechless. Chu Xin looked at Yang Ling and said half-jokingly, Xiao Ling, if you don't mind, squeeze with sister? Squeeze, squeeze. The two girls seemed to have imagined some scene, and even Yang Shui's face turned red, as if swearing some sovereignty. Chu Xin said again, Sleeping in my room will prevent me from crawling on your bed every day to wake you up. Is it not good? Climb on the bed. Chun Yi felt that even the bases of her ears were red. Yang Shui opened her mouth, took a deep breath, looked at Yang Ling and said, Brother, you should go home and sleep. What? Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard this. Please, this is my house, okay? If you want to go home, you will go home. He was a little speechless. I can sleep on the sofa. No, this woman will climb onto the sofa. What if you can't help it? It seems to make sense. Yang Ling looked at Chu Xin, who had an innocent face, and Yang Shui, who was exasperated, and Chun Yi, who was blushing, and knew that it was futile to say anything now. After these girls get along for a while, they should be fine after they get familiar with each other. In the end, several people discussed and came to a decision. Unless there were any special circumstances, Yang Ling had to go home to sleep at 11 o'clock every day and come over to help the two girls with their homework before noon the next day. Yang Shui hugged Yang Ling with a smile and said, Brother, I'll drive my BMW i8 for you first. Hurry up and buy a new house, then we can live together. Ghosts want to live with you. Yang Ling rolled his eyes, told them to go to bed early, talked to Chu Xin again, and left the rental house alone. Ding, you have satisfied Yang Shui. Chen, he doesn't want you to live with Chu Xin. Wish value +1. current progress 18/10. Ding, you crushed Chu Xian's wish to live with you. Attribute point +1. Realizing that he didn't have a driver's license, he stopped driving and walked on the quiet street to digest his gains. After hesitating for a while, he said in a deep voice, "System, I need the ability to see through the loyalty of my subordinates." Ding, the wish is successful. Your investigative eyes have been strengthened, and you can check the loyalty value of your subordinates at any time. Note, loyalty of 100 is full value, above 80 is excellent, 60 to 80 is qualified. The lower the loyalty below 60, the higher the chance of rebellion. Ding, your charm value +1. Ling directly used a probing eye on passersby, and the result was that he was not a subordinate, so he couldn't investigate. It doesn't matter. After roughly mastering the usage and characteristics of this skill, he smiled slightly and began to allocate attribute points. Now he happens to have 5 free attribute points, and without even thinking about it, he directly adds them to his strength. Power, 30. Agility, 30. Stamina, 25. Mental power, 24. Charisma, 8. Ding, it has been detected that your strength attribute has reached an integer, and a random reward is being drawn for you. Ding, you have acquired a skill. Acting proficiency. Beautiful. Ling laughed. I was lucky today and got another skill. Come on, you can sing, dance, film TV, play the piano, and play the violin. If you don't develop in the entertainment industry, isn't it a waste of talent? Turning all the gains into his own strength. Ling heaved a sigh of relief and looked towards the sky. He is very clear that as his ability becomes stronger, he will definitely offend more people in the future, and he must keep moving forward until he stands at the top. And he is also looking forward to the scenery above the peak, the mind that can see all the small mountains. But these are things that will happen a long time later. The question now is where to sleep tonight. It's okay to go home and sleep, but during the day, I vowed to take good care of my sister and was kicked out at night. It would be embarrassing if parents asked about it. Suddenly, his heart moved, and he thought of a place to go. In a long Huangshan villa area, under the dim light, Ling was walking unsteadily on the small road. Suddenly, 2 young men walked quickly in front of them. They were wearing black clothes and hats. Still can't find it. The 2 were discussing something with their heads down. When they suddenly saw Ling in front of them, they stopped in their tracks for a moment, and there seemed to be another ray of panic in the eyes looking at Ling. Okay. Ling frowned slightly, but he didn't know these 2 people, so it was not easy to go up and ask them directly. The 2 young men looked at each other, and the pace of going down the mountain became faster. When passing by, Ling seemed to have noticed something and turned his head sharply. I saw a peony petal stuck to one of the trousers. He had seen peonies of this color before, and it was the pot in the living room of Lu Muhan's house. Stop! Ling's soft shout sounded, and the 2 young men shuddered violently. They ran down the mountain without looking back. Walk! Ling sneered, and 2 silver lights flashed as he waved his hand, and the 2 coins landed on the crook of their legs accurately. The coin projected by 30 points of power can almost shoot through a person's knee. The 2 screamed on the spot and rolled down the hillside. Ding, Lingbo Weibu's skill is activated. Ling's figure flickered, and he disappeared in place almost like a teleportation, but within a few breaths, he appeared in front of the 2 of them. The eyes of these 2 young men showed horror, and at the same time, the system's voice sounded. Ding, the range perception skill is activated, and the current 2 enemies are threatening you. In the next moment, the 2 young men wanted to take something out of their arms, but Ling kicked him twice, as if he had predicted it in advance. Boom! Accompanied by the sound of bone shattering. The bones of the hands of the 2 were directly kicked off, and the sprayer hidden in the chest fell out. But even after receiving such a heavy blow, the 2 young men held back their silence, and even wanted to grab the troll who fell beside them. Court death. Ling flicked his fingers, and 2 coins shot out again, directly hitting the thumbs of the 2 young people. Crack! After the crisp sound, the jaws of the 2 of them burst open, and they could no longer grab anything. Ling took a step forward, stepped on a young man's chest, and shouted, "Who sent you here? Are you trying to harm Lu Muhan?" The eyes of the two showed fear, but at this moment, the system's notifications sounded again. Ding! The range perception skill is activated, and an enemy in the distance is threatening you. Yang Ling was startled suddenly and jumped away without even thinking about it. In the next moment, there was a sound of spray guns from far away, and it hit the position where he was standing just now. Sniper troll. A cold light flashed in Yang Ling's eyes, and then he tapped his fingertips, and a thunderbolt sounded in the clear night sky. Crack! The small forest in the distance directly ignited flames. It's a pity that Yang Ling didn't have clairvoyant skills, nor did he have the ability to follow the sound to fight back. There was no scream from there, so the lightning bolt probably missed it. With such a short delay, a black off-road vehicle rushed out of the woods. The door quickly opened. A strong man directly dragged the two young people into the vehicle, and then the off-road vehicle rushed away. "Can I go?" Yang Ling's whole body flashed with lightning, and two bolts of thunder blasted out his eyes. With only one explosion, the off-road vehicle was directly sent flying. The out-of-control off-road vehicle rolled and fell down the small road. After hitting a bluestone on the side of the road, it exploded with a bang and turned into a ball of fire. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback. His original intention was to blow up the off-road vehicle and force it to stop, but he didn't expect that it would hit a rock and explode. Ding! You shattered the opponent's desire to escape. Attribute point +1. Under such a tragic accident, it is impossible for anyone to survive. He made a quick decision, and electric arcs flickered all over his body, and dense currents splashed all around. After a crackling noise, all the street lights and surveillance cameras around were blown through. The terrible electric arc rushed directly into the monitoring room along the weak wire, and with a bang, all the hard drives of the terminals were completely burned, and the attendant who woke up was completely dumbfounded. Ding! You shattered the wish of the night shift officer to go to sleep. Attribute point +1. This thunderous blow burned all the evidence. Yang Ling was about to launch Lingbo Weibo to chase after the sniper, but just as he was not far away, his whole body shook, and he almost couldn't stand still. Too many things happened today, and in the end he used the thunder control skill several times, which made him overdraw both mentally and physically. He hurriedly stabilized his figure, and when the two attribute points he was about to acquire were added to his physical strength and mental strength, the feeling of fatigue was slightly relieved. Seeing that the security guards had rushed towards his place in the distance, they should have come to put out the fire. He frowned, and then quietly hid in a small forest. After a while, I opened the door of the villa with a key, and it was so quiet that there seemed to be no one there. Worried about Lu Muhan's safety, Yang Ling checked all the rooms in the villa on the third floor, and found that there was no one there, and there was no sign of any struggle. After he breathed a sigh of relief, he found a random room, took off his clothes, lay down on the bed, and fell asleep, and threw away the pillow that took up space. In the middle of the night, Lu Muhan finished her day's work. She was a bit exhausted and didn't want to do anything. After returning to the room, she kicked off her clothes and skirts and fell on the big soft bed. In a daze, she seemed to be looking for something. When she found what she wanted, a reassuring smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and she fell asleep. In the early morning of the second day, Yang Ling felt his arms were sore, and his stomach was pressed by something. He slowly opened his eyes. Seeing this, he almost jumped up in fright. I saw Lu Muhan lying on his side beside him, with his head resting on his arm, breathing evenly and sleeping extremely sweetly. In front of him was the beautiful sleeping face of the female president, with a snow-white neck, and a faint fragrance unique to girls could be heard faintly, making him blush and heartbeat. I secretly lifted the quilt to take a look and almost had a nosebleed. Except for some fabrics on the necessary parts, the female president is almost naked. Her soft arms are resting on her chest, and her thighs are resting on her stomach. Who can stand this? Yang Ling felt his heart beating faster and wanted to sneak away, but he was afraid of waking Lu Muhan, so he froze on the bed for a while. As if sensing the strange movement around him, Lu Muhan opened his eyes in a daze. What came into view was the handsome but slightly embarrassed face of a young man. Ling. In the haze, Lu Muhan called out instinctively and then froze. She realized her current state. Her beautiful eyes were getting bigger and bigger. Although she didn't dare to move, her delicate body visibly trembled. Knowing that this hurdle would be impossible to pass, Ling rubbed his nose and said with a smile, "Mr. Lu, morning." "What?" A scream rang out, and Lu Muhan sat up in shock holding the quilt, pointed at Ling and said tremblingly, You, why are you here?" Ling smiled wryly and said, "If you can't tell, you might not believe it. I'm here to spend the night with you." "Hey, I came to your house to spend the night." No, I'm here to stay overnight, right?" These words seemed to be getting darker and darker. Lu Muhan's face was blushing. Seeing that Ling's eyes were covered with steam, she said tremblingly, You are shameless. What the hell did you do to me?" "What to do now?" Ling looked at the sheets and said with a sigh of relief, "Look, there's nothing special about it, right?" Seeing this, Lu Muhan's heart beat faster. She naturally understood the meaning of Ling's actions. Seeing that there was no redness and that he was innocent, Lu Muhan breathed a sigh of relief, and then his whole body felt a little weak and hot. For a while, he just looked at Ling with hazy eyes, not knowing what to say. "Ding, you have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish of not doing what she did. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 10/10. Ding, you and Lu Muhan share the same bed. Intimacy +20, current intimacy is 70. Ling was a little dumbfounded when he heard the system's notification tone. What kind of shit is this? When the two of them were embarrassed, they heard Lu Muhan's exclamation. Mr. Lu, who was about to call his granddaughter for breakfast, hurried up, pushed open the door, but was slightly taken aback. "Yo, you two were so interested this morning." "Okay, old man, I didn't come the right time. Let's go first." Before leaving, he still yelled at the door, Xiao Ling, remember to have breakfast later." "Old Huang, what a happy event. Your granddaughter is gone." Hearing the old man's yelling, Lu Muhan's forehead was full of black lines. Doesn't this bad old man care about his granddaughter at all? She looked at Ling and snorted softly, "I need to change my clothes." A while later, in the living room of the villa, Lu Muhan put on a beautiful long dress at this moment, and his expression finally calmed down. The nanny had already brought the breakfast. Ling took a bite of the sandwich and asked curiously, "Dr. Lu, I remember that I found an empty room to sleep in yesterday. Why did you wake up next to me this morning?" Lu Muhan's face felt a little hot when he heard the words. Although he didn't want to admit it, the memory in his mind clearly told her that she took the initiative to hug Ling last night. But of course she wouldn't say it out loud. She just hummed softly, "How dare you say that? That's my room." Okay. Ling didn't intend to dwell on this issue. He glanced at the pot of orchids in the corner of the living room and asked curiously, "Have you ever felt like you've been followed recently?" "Track," Lu Muhan said angrily. "Who will follow me? You won't say that you came to sleep in my room last night to protect me, right?" Ling smiled awkwardly and suddenly got up and walked to a corner of the living room, walking around the pot of orchids as if looking for something. Lu Muhan was smart and seemed to have guessed what he was going to do, gritted his teeth and whispered, "This bastard is still looking for excuses. Dare to act, but not to act, coward." But at this moment, Ling seemed to have discovered something and waved, "Dong Lu, come and have a look." Lu Muhan snorted softly, but still walked over. After seeing it, his expression sank. "Micro camera," Ling said in a deep voice. "Last night, I found two suspicious-looking people with your orchid leaves stuck to their feet. I was a little suspicious at that time. Sure enough, it's really aimed at you." Lu Muhan frowned and suddenly took out her phone. After a few clicks, the surveillance video of last night's villa appeared. She said while fast-forwarding, "This is a military hidden thermal camera installed by my second uncle. It is clear at a glance whether anyone has sneaked in. Is there such a high technology?" Ling was slightly taken aback and leaned over to watch it together. Sure enough, two young men in black sneaked in after 9 o'clock last night and installed miniature cameras in every corner of the villa. What? Lu Muhan let out a soft cry. The video was very clear. This little man didn't lie to himself. Someone really wanted to deal with her. She looked at young Ling, who was eating a sandwich, with a look of gratitude on her face. If it weren't for his keenness, his every move in the future would be under the other party's surveillance. Ding, Lu Muhan is grateful for your discovery of the problem. Intimacy +10, current intimacy 80. Yang Ling smiled slightly, took another bite of the sandwich, and said, Director Lu, what are you going to do? Do you want to tell the old man about this? Lu Muhan shook his head lightly and said, I'll handle it myself. Grandpa is getting old, so don't let him worry anymore. By the way, Xiaoling, you helped me again. Thanks. Yang Ling laughed and said, Dong Lu, you call me Xiaoling. Why do I feel that I am a generation lower than you? Call me Ling from now on. All my friends call me that. Is there any difference? Lu Muhan blinked her pretty eyes and said with a light smile, Shouldn't I be calling you husband? What? As soon as the words came out, both of them were taken aback. Lu Muhan blushed. Yang Ling took a bite of the sandwich and blushed a little. The intimacy of 80 points is really strong, and they will take the initiative to call their husbands. However, Yang Ling had a thicker skin after all, and said with a slight smile, Director Lu, are you going to work today? I have something to do in a while, so I'll go first. Lu Muhan's face darkened slightly when he heard the words. Then I'll see you off? No need. Yang Ling shook his head with a smile, and suddenly said seriously, I've heard from Han Yakin about the company's situation. Now is an extraordinary period. You must be careful. If you find anything unusual, please notify me as soon as possible. Lu Muhan felt the concern in Yang Ling's words, and the look of sadness on her face was replaced by a look of joy. She nodded slightly and said, You are on the cusp of the storm, so you have to be careful. Immediately, she regained the temperament of a glamorous female president, and a faint light flickered in her beautiful eyes. I was the one who was too naive before. Since they have even resorted to such means, don't blame me for being rude. After leaving the villa, Yang Ling deliberately walked the small road last night. Seeing that the accident site of the off-road vehicle had been sealed off, he hesitated for a while before walking up. Because the traffic police came to deal with it, he didn't know anyone, but after inquiring, he learned that only one driver died in the off-road vehicle, which made him frown slightly. There were at least 4 people in the car last night, and it is impossible for anyone to survive the explosion. But now one is dead? There must be something tricky in it. Presumably, the culprit must have done something before the police arrived. But he clearly remembered that some security guards should have rushed to the scene first. Is it possible? Looking back at the Longwan Villa area, there was a faint light flickering in his eyes. Although the road was blocked, how could he be blocked? Yang Ling didn't bother to take a detour and walked directly into the dense forest on both sides. A moment later, in the park below the Longwan Villa area, after Yang Ling received today's subsistence allowance, he said in a deep voice, System, I want to make a wish. Let me have superb medical skills. Ding. Asked the host to choose Chinese medicine or Western medicine. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, and then said, Chinese medicine. Ding. The wish is successful, and the host acquires the skill. Proficient in Chinese medicine. Proficient in Chinese medicine. The host has mastered the essence of Wadiangwo medicine and can skillfully use traditional Chinese medicine methods, such as acupuncture and moxibustion. The accuracy rate of disease judgment is 100%, and the treatment ability is 100%. Ding! The charm value of the host is +1. As the system's words fell, a huge amount of information rushed into Yang Ling's mind. At this moment, he was shocked. The civilization of Huatian Kingdom has a long history, and the way of Chinese medicine is vast. Compared with the real Chinese medicine of Huatian Kingdom, the current Chinese medicine methods are just superficial. After taking a deep breath, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Now that the situation is complicated, after he has mastered this skill, he will be able to be prepared. Afterwards, he added the 2 new attribute points he got in the morning to his strength, which made his strength even stronger. Strength 30, dexterity 30, physical strength 26, mental strength 25, charisma 9. Just when he was feeling proud, a surprised voice suddenly sounded not far away. Yang Ling? What? Yang Ling looked back, but saw a familiar girl. Zhang Yuro. Zhang Yuro, who had loose hair and a light blue dress, was very beautiful. She walked over quickly and said with a slight smile, "Long time no see. What are you doing after you leave the hospital?" Yang Ling smiled and said, "By some messy things." At this time, a middle-aged man who was a bit fat came up behind Zhang Yuro. He looked at Yang Ling in surprise and said, "Xiaoro, this is Dad. He is the Yang Ling I mentioned to you last time." Hearing this, the middle-aged man frowned slightly and looked at Yang Ling's attire again, with a hint of displeasure in his eyes. He asked lightly, "Xiao Yang, right? I am Xiaoro's father. I often hear him mentioning you at home. Are you still an administrator?" Yang Ling smiled and said, "I resigned a few days ago." "Oh," Father Zhang asked again. Then Xiao Yang, "Where do your parents work?" Yang Ling replied honestly, "Father is an ordinary worker, and mother has been taking care of us at home." "Is that so?" The displeasure in Zhang's father's eyes grew stronger, and he said lightly, "Well, then you also need to find a job to share some of the burden for the family. I still have something to do with Xiaoro. Let's go first." End of this chapter. As he was about to leave, Zhang Yuro said, "Dad, wait a while." She walked up to Yang Ling, smiled lightly, and said, "Last time you promised me to watch a movie together, I'll wait." This, Yang Ling smiled bitterly and said, "Okay, I will definitely accompany you to see it next time. Aren't you okay? Let's go first." Zhang Yuro raised her mouth when she heard the words. "You want me to leave so much? By the way, Xiaoling, my home is not far from Longquan community. Speaking of which, why are you here? You won't be in the same community as us, right?" Yang Ling replied honestly, "I'm in the Longwan Villa area, and I came to sleep last night when something happened." "What?" Zhang's father showed a disdainful smile, while Zhang Yuro's eyes widened and said, "Xiaoling, you mean your home is here? Longwan Villa area? Well, what's the matter?" "Oops." Zhang Yuro covered her mouth lightly, with a look of surprise on her face, but Zhang's father snorted softly. "Young man, I know you young people care about saving face, but why lie?" Yang Ling was surprised and said, "Didn't you lie? Did I sleep here last night?" "Nonsense." Father Zhang showed contempt on his face and said indifferently, "It doesn't matter if a man is poor, but he must have backbone. Young man, if you don't change your character, I'm afraid you won't have any future in the future. As for watching the movie you mentioned, let me avoid it. My daughter probably won't contact you again in the future." Yang Ling's forehead is full of black lines. What's the matter with this little old man? Is it because he is afraid that he will abduct his daughter? These days, no one will believe the truth. Zhang Yuro was embarrassed. Seeing Yang Ling frowned, she hurriedly said, "Xiao Ling, I'm sorry, but my father speaks straight. Don't take it to heart." Yang Ling smiled wryly and shook his head. "It's okay. It's normal for parents to care about their daughter. If I have something to do here, I'll go first." As he said that, he was about to turn around and leave, when suddenly a Mercedes-Benz drove over and directly blocked the road leading to the outside of the park. The car door opened, and a man wearing a famous brand and sunglasses jumped out. As soon as he saw Zhang Yuro, he walked over quickly, ignored Yang Ling, and said kindly, "Yuro, have you been waiting for a long time?" Zhang Yuro glanced at Yang Ling, who was being squeezed aside, with a look of apology in his eyes, and then smiled slightly. "We also just arrived." Brother Young Master nodded, and said to Father Zhang with a smile, "Uncle, I've already asked my father to greet the people in the mall. You will be the logistics team leader, and the work will be very easy. Come on, I'll take you there." Father Zhang said with a smile all over his face, "Xiao Zhang, thank you, uncle, for being so enthusiastic about helping us. Let Xiao Ro invite you to watch a movie tomorrow." Brother Young Master laughed and said, "This is how Yuro treats me. I'll invite you." Father Zhang nodded with a smile, And when he passed by Yang Ling, he said lightly, "You saw it too. The gap is here. I hope you will remember what I told you just now." Zhang Yuro also heard these words clearly. She said angrily, "Dad, why are you talking like that? Xiao Ling may be younger, but he is very good. He is not as bad as you said." Then he turned to Yang Ling and said, "Xiao Ling, I'm sorry. I'll treat you to dinner later to apologize. Now I have something to do. Let's go first." Yang Ling nodded speechlessly. Why was he being ridiculed for walking in the park in a good manner? He didn't bother to argue with these people, so he turned around and was about to leave. However, the scene of him talking to Zhang Yuro made young Master's face darken, and he shouted, "Wait a minute." Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard the words, then looked at him in surprise and said, "What's the matter with you?" Brother Gongzi said lightly, "I don't know what is the relationship between you and Xiaoro." Yang Ling glanced at Zhang Yuro, who had a wry smile on his face, and said, "Friendship. What's the matter? So they're friends?" Brother Gongzi asked again, "I don't know where you are." Before Yang Ling could speak, Zhang's father sneered and said, "Xiao Yang used to be a coordinator, but now he has resigned." "Is that so?" There was a mocking smile on the corner of young Master's mouth, but he pretended to be enthusiastic. "Since I'm Xiao Ro's friend, I'll help people to the end. How about it? You go to my dad's shopping mall to be a vehicle manager. Although the salary is a little less, it's still a job no matter what. Don't worry. I will let someone take good care of you." These words were obviously intended to make him look good, while showing off his abilities, while making Yang Ling make a fool of himself in front of Zhang Yuro. Yang Ling narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "I don't know which shopping mall it is." Brother Young Master pushed his sunglasses slightly and said with a faint smile, "Sunshine Commercial Plaza. My dad is the boss there." "Oh." Yang Ling laughed and said, "So it's the Sunshine Commercial Plaza. I heard that it belongs to the Muhua Group. No wonder you're so proud. Speaking of which, don't you need an interview if you go to work with your dad? Is it okay to just get a job like this?" Brother Young Master became even more proud when he heard the words. "My dad is the boss, the general manager of Sunshine Plaza. He wants whoever he wants. What kind of interview? Isn't this just a matter of one sentence?" Seeing Yang Ling's faint smile, Brother Gongzi changed the subject and said, "It's fine if you don't want to be the vehicle manager, but Yuro is my friend, and she is no longer on the same level as you. I hope you have self-knowledge and don't look for her in the future." Yang Ling chuckled, looked at Zhang Yuju, and said, "Can't we be friends in the future?" Zhang Yuro didn't expect things to develop like this. Tears welled up in her eyes. She kept shaking her head, but under her father's stern gaze, she couldn't utter a single word. Seeing this, Yang Ling sighed softly, looked at Zhang Yuju and said, "I understand what you mean. I owe you the movie. Please pay it back when you have a chance." After saying that, he shook his head with a faint smile, turned around, and planned to leave. But at this time, a Rolls-Royce drove down and had to stop because the road was blocked by the son's car. A woman in a suit got off the driver's seat. She was taken aback when she saw Yang Ling and asked curiously, "Master, didn't you go out early?" This woman is the nanny of the Lu family, named Lu Lan. She looks about 35 years old. She is an orphan saved by the old man on the battlefield. She was raised and brought with her all the time. I heard that her skills are no longer inferior to those of the guards, and because she lives in the old man's house, she is one of the few people who knows Yang Ling's identity. "Master," Father Zhang's eyes widened upon hearing this. "Who is this female driver calling?" Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "I met a friend on the road and chatted for a while." "Is that so?" Lu Lan suddenly turned her head and said, "Miss, the young master is here." Lu Muhan, who was flipping through the documents in the car, was taken aback when he heard the words. After getting out of the car, she saw Yang Ling. She complained, Ling, would you rather hang around here than go to work? Do you know how many people are staring at the position of vice president?" Yang Ling touched his nose, looked at Zhang Yuju, and said, "Didn't I meet a friend?" "Friend." Lu Muhan also looked at Zhang Yuro and said with a half-smile after seeing this girl, "Your friend is so pretty. You said there was something. Wouldn't it be a date?" Dong Lu was joking. Yang Ling shook his head and smiled. "I'm going to do the grocery shopping. and then I'll go home and help my sister with homework. Shopping for groceries? Help with homework? Not working for this reason. Are you a housewife? Lu Muhan gave him a blank look, but he was relieved when he heard Yang Ling's answer. Ding! You smashed Lu Muhan's wish for you to go to work today. Attribute point +1. Ding! You have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish not to want you to be promiscuous. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is February 10th. The two of them were chatting on one side, while on the other side Zhang's father and son's brother's eyes were about to pop out. Who doesn't know a celebrity like Lu Muhan? Needless to say, the vice president she was talking about must be the vice president of Muhua Group. Oh my god, you have to limit your jokes. Isn't this tattered kid the vice president? Is this him too exaggerated? Forget about the vice president. Why did the maid of the Lu family call him young master? Why is Lu Muhan so friendly to him and still chatting about family matters here? This kid can't be the son of the Lu family. Father Zhang's face was full of shock, and then his face was full of remorse, and he even became a little scared when he looked at Yang Ling. And brother Young Master's legs were even shaking. Just now he was so arrogant. If Yang Ling was serious, his father would have to be fired if he said a word. Zhang Yuro's bright eyes looked at Yang Ling in shock as well. Her intuition told her that the relationship between Yang Ling and Lu Muhan was definitely not simple. Suddenly, she plucked up the courage to ask, Mr. Lu, what is your relationship with Xiaoling? Xiaoling, it's very kind. Lu Muhan glanced at Yang Ling angrily, and then said flatly, a Ling is my family. Family. Zhang's father and the young master had no expressions on their faces. This kid is indeed the young master of the Lu family. But Zhang Yuro breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Muhan always felt that something was wrong, looked at Father Zhang and brother young master, frowned slightly, and said, Ling, have you caused trouble again? What? Yang Ling said angrily. What trouble did you see me get into? As he said that, he looked at brother young master and said with some amusement, this is the friend who said he would introduce me to a job as a vehicle manager. I'm planning to go see him later. As soon as these words came out, brother young master's legs were almost unsteady. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead, and even his lips turned pale. In front of him is the chairman. If she knows what I just said, just one phone call, my father will have to be laid off. Fortunately, Lu Muhan was in a hurry, so he didn't care. He just hummed softly, it's not serious to talk nonsense all day long. When you're done working for a while, remember to come to the company to report, at least show your face. While talking, he got into the Rolls-Royce. From the beginning to the end, Lu Lan saw the expressions of several people in her eyes. A person like her had already guessed the matter roughly. When she passed by Yang Ling, she smiled lightly and said, Master, you are really an interesting person. The corner of Yang Ling's mouth curled up, and he said softly, Sister Lan, your tie is crooked. What? Lu Lan looked down and found that her tie was a little crooked. She chuckled and said, let's talk next time, bye. Then he looked at brother young master, waved his hand impatiently, and signaled him to move the car away. After a while, Rolls-Royce walked away, and there were only a few people left in the field. Yang Ling looked at brother young master and said with a half-smile, didn't you say you want to introduce a job? Not leaving yet. Brother young master's face was pale, and he said tremblingly, Mr. Yang, I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I won't dare in the future. Yang Ling laughed and said, aren't you going to introduce a job to this uncle? What? Brother young master thought that Yang Ling was going to be serious, and was so scared that he almost lost his balance. If his father was fired, he would be finished. Seeing that this man was so frightened, Yang Ling sneered, looked at Zhang's father and said, Uncle, you just said something about the gap. There's indeed a gap between me and this young Master Zhang, so I won't bother you to go through the back door. Bye-bye. Seeing Zhang Yuro's face, he didn't bother to care about it anymore. He turned around and left and walked down the mountain unsteadily. Ding, you have crushed the sun's wish to hit you. Attribute point +1. Ding, you shattered Zhang Yuro's father's desire to climb high. Attribute points +1. Zhang's father smiled wryly when he heard the words, and he couldn't say a word when Yang Ling yelled at him. Now he hates himself for being blind. Compared with Yang Ling, the trembling young man beside him is nothing. Even his father can't compare to Yang Ling's leg hair. How could I be so old and dizzy? Zhang Yuro felt that she was wronged, and after looking at her father bitterly, she hesitated for a moment and quickly chased after him. Under the shade of the tree, she looked at Yang Ling with tears in her eyes and said, "Xiao Ling, are we still friends?" Yang Ling smiled slightly. "Your father won't let us be friends." Ah. Zhang Yuro's eyes turned red all of a sudden. "You are really still angry. My dad is a snob, but I don't want to lose you as a friend." Yang Ling looked at her seriously and suddenly asked, "What if I'm still that poor boy? Will you still catch up? Meeting. I don't care if you have money or not." Seeing the girl in front of her with red eyes, she had a serious expression on her face. Knowing that she was not lying, Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "Didn't you say you want to invite me to dinner or a movie? I'll wait for your call." He laughed and walked forward. Looking at her back, Zhang Yuro wiped away her tears vigorously, finally showing a smile on her face. "Ding, you have fulfilled Zhang Yuro's wish to continue to be friends with you. Wish value +1, current progress, 3/10." Walking on the road, Yang Ling was still feeling elated. He gained 3 more attribute points just now, and he added them to his physical strength without hesitation, and his physical strength reached 29 points in no time. It's only 1 point away, and you can draw the prize again. Just as he was secretly happy, there was a loud shout from behind him. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback, only to see a little boy with a big carrot head trying to cross the road. He easily picked up the little boy and handed it to the middle-aged woman who came behind. The woman thanked her repeatedly, and a systematic voice sounded in Yang Ling's mind. "Ding, you smashed the little boy's wish to cross the road. Attribute point +1. Ness." Yang Ling laughed, nodded to the woman, walked away quickly, and then directly added this bit of attribute value to physical strength. "Ding, one of your attributes has reached an integer, and a random reward is being drawn for you." "Ding, congratulations to the host for winning the hidden reward with a probability of 1 in 1,000. One person associated with the system. The candidate is being drawn for you. Please wait." Yang Ling was dumbfounded. He thought he would be thankful if he could get a skill, but he didn't expect to get a system-related character. After cultivating the intimacy to the full, they can draw treasure chests. He suddenly came back to his senses and started the broken thoughts mode again. "I got my mom, I got my mom, I got my mom." His mother Wang Yueju's intimacy is estimated to be full as soon as she comes out. No wonder he is so eager. "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the person associated with the system. Zhang Yuro. Zhang Yuro's current intimacy with you. 50. Why is she? Although the initial intimacy of 50 is stronger than Liu Muhan's -70. I don't know how much, but this woman is not very familiar after all, and she can't meet often, so it'll be more difficult to increase the intimacy. By the way, with 50 points of intimacy, is this girl secretly in love with me?" Yang Ling smiled slightly and walked towards the vegetable market not far away. After buying some ingredients at random, he returned to the rental house, but he was slightly taken aback after entering the door. The room was quiet, but there was a slight snoring sound coming from the room. When I opened the door, my sister and Shun were both sleeping. The room was filled with the scent of a girl, and there were clothes scattered on the floor. Yang Ling rolled his eyes, and after shaking Yang Shui awake, he said angrily, "Little sister, it's already 10 o'clock. Do you still want to take tuition?" Yang Shui turned over in a daze, put her snow-white thigh on Chen Yi's body, and said vaguely, "Brother, I queued up with Miss Xiaoyin last night. Let me sleep for a while." Double row. Yang Ling looked at his sister speechlessly. This girl played games all night, so she can't sleep all day? By the way, when did you call Chu seeing Miss Xiaoyin? Is the relationship so good overnight? He immediately looked at Chen Yi and found that the phone beside the bed was still playing a TV series with earphones plugged in. Needless to say, this girl must have watched the series all night. Yang Ling sighed softly, helped the two ladies cover the quilt, smiled wryly, and went to cook. In the next few days, he went to the park every morning to get the subsistence allowance, then bought breakfast and vegetables, helped his two younger sisters with their homework during the day, and played live with Chu Xin in the evening, gaining some fans and fans yes. Life is also fulfilling. 23 tenths LV3LV440. As for the attribute points, in addition to increasing the mental power to 30, it also accumulated 8 points. He intends to save it for a rainy day. This time, the whole number lottery skill was drawn, but it was a pity that he was proficient with no makeup. Yang Ling didn't have any strange hobbies, so he just ignored this skill. It is also worth mentioning that his previous violin performance and The Wizard of Oz with Lu Muhan have brought a lot of traffic to the website every day. Many people seem to be poisoned, and they will feel uncomfortable if they don't listen to it for a day. In this internet age where traffic is money, money is deposited into Yang Ling's account every day, and now it is basically stable at about 20 a day. At present, the amount in the account has returned to 600 million, and the money came by itself, which is really worrying. At the same time, driven by the two explosive videos, TC became popular all of a sudden. Under Yang Ling's instructions, the people from the information department began to purchase the copyrights of some TV series and animations. The website is developing in a good direction. A website became popular one day before work, which made many people in the headquarters shut up. In Lu Muhan's words, if you are capable, you can show me a website as well. In addition, the college entrance examination sleeping incident became hot again because the results were about to be released. Many people are waiting to see Yang Ling's score, to see how many points this brazen brother can get. Today is the day to make an appointment with Zhang Yuro to watch a movie. Yang Ling finished dinner, told the two younger sisters to go to bed early, and planned to leave. But when he walked to the window, he found that there was a long queue of cars below, but they were blocked for some reason. He still planned to take a taxi, but judging by his posture, when he called a taxi, the movie might be over. After hesitating for a while, Yang Ling smiled and looked towards the roof. At the entrance of Inrue Shopping Center, Zhang Yuro was driving her family's Skoda car slowly, preparing to line up to enter the parking lot. There was a faint smile on the corner of her mouth, and it could be seen that she was looking forward to today's date. Suddenly, a motorcycle flew by beside him. Zhang Yuro turned the steering wheel instinctively. The front of the car veered and bumped into a Maserati on the other side. What? She hurriedly got out of the car and saw that the two cars were only slightly scratched, and she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, four brightly dressed men got out of the car, and one of them was wearing glasses. It turned out to be Dr. Wang, who kept chasing Zhang Yuro. But since he was teased by Yang Ling last time, he became a laughingstock after the news spread. Later, this person learned that there was a rich second generation who was aggressively pursuing Zhang Yuro. He knew that he had no chance and never showed up. Glancing at Zhang Yuro, who was more beautiful than usual, and then at the place where the two cars collided, a stern look appeared in his eyes, and he said with a sinister smile, "Yuro, I didn't expect to be here. Met you. Wang. Dr. Wang." Zhang Yuro instinctively took 2 steps back, her eyes showing fear. Seeing this, Wang Quan sneered and winked at the people behind him. The 3 brightly dressed men rushed forward, and one of the fat men pretended to be surprised and said, "Oh, brother, your Maserati is worth more than 100 million yuan. Well, how did you get hit like this?" Another person laughed and said, "It will cost at least 10 yuan for touch-up paint, sheet metal, and damage. By the way, I seem to have heard the engine boom just now. Isn't it broken? If you don't calculate 30 yuan, you can't repair it." These people made it clear that they were trying to trick Zhang Yuro. Zhang Yuro's eyes turned red. Trembling, she took out her mobile phone and wanted to call the insurance company. But before she could make a call, Wang Quan slammed it down. Ping pong. The phone was smashed to the ground. Wang Quan sneered and said, "Didn't you find a rich second-generation boyfriend?" The incident here has already attracted a lot of onlookers who eat melons. Zhang Yuro said with red eyes, "No, I didn't associate with him." "No," Wang Quan shouted angrily. "Then why did you reject me?" Zhang Yuro shook her lower lip and said emotionally, "Because I don't like you. We are not suitable. Why are you still pestering me?" This made it clear. Wang Quan gritted his teeth and said, "I have treated you so well, and even cured your father. In the end, just say that we are not suitable." "Okay, you're fine," Zhang Yuro shouted excitedly. "Shouldn't doctors treat illnesses and save lives? You cured my father. I am grateful to you, but we are also rich in medical expenses. It's your excuse to say so much. You just want to sleep with me." "You," Wang Quan roared. "Yes, you are right. I just want to sleep with you, little bitch." As soon as this remark came out, the audience was in an uproar. The doctor himself said, "What is this if he is not a scumbag?" Seeing that everyone in the audience was pointing at him, Wang Quan frowned, then looked at Maserati and said lightly, "Okay, I won't tell you anything else. Now you hit my car, 30, I let you go. Otherwise, you don't want to go home today." Zhang Yuro's momentum immediately weakened. She was just a nurse. How could she have 30? Seeing Wang Quan and the others walking up step by step, she backed away and said in a trembling voice, "You, what are you going to do?" "Yang Ling is coming soon. Don't mess around." "Yang Ling?" Wang Quan laughed loudly and said, "You mean that poor bastard? It turns out that you like such a guy. So what if he comes? I didn't like him a long time ago. It's best to come here. I'll beat him up." Zhang Yuro kept backing away in fear. Suddenly, she saw the man with the motorcycle in the crowd, smiling coldly. There was a thump in my heart, knowing that I was being tricked and everything was arranged. She was really scared and wanted to turn around and run away, but found that these 4 people had surrounded herself. There was a tyrannical light in Wang Quan's eyes, and he said coldly, "I will give you 2 choices now. Either lose money immediately or get in the car with us. I want to ask you seriously, why would you rather want that trash of Yang Ling than me?" Zhang Yuro's face turned pale. She was a girl after all. She was completely at a loss in the face of this situation. But getting her into the car by herself was out of the question. She stood stubbornly, her eyes searching the crowd, hoping to see the shadow of that boy. Seeing this, Wang Quan was furious and roared, "Wait! You bitch is still waiting for Yang Ling. Drag her into the car for me." His 3 friends immediately stepped forward to pull Zhang Yuro. Although there are many people eating melons here, seeing how vicious these people are, no one dares to step forward to help. Zhang Yuro cried aloud. While struggling violently, she shouted loudly, "Xiaoling! Where are you, Xiaoling? Come and save me!" Wang Quan was so angry that he almost lost his mind and roared, "This trash doesn't dare to come out. Drag me away." Zhang Yuro's face was full of tears. Once she was dragged away by this group of people, she didn't know what would happen next. She's almost desperate. But at this moment, a strong wind suddenly blew up in the sky, and the sound of the propeller rotation sounded. Everyone instinctively looked towards the sky, and they were all taken aback for a moment. Where did the helicopter come from? After hovering in the sky for a while, the helicopter slowly landed on a piece of lawn. The hatch opened, and a teenager walked down with a faint smile on his face. "Little Ling." Zhang Yuro stared blankly at Yang Ling, who was walking over. Her tears couldn't stop dripping down. At this moment, not only him, but a line from the movie appeared in everyone's mind. "The lover of my dreams is an unrivaled hero. One day, he will step on the colorful, auspicious clouds to marry me." Yang Ling's appearance left everyone dumbfounded, and the melon eaters immediately started whispering, "Didn't you say that this man is a poor boy? This appearance is too cool. Are you a SB? Have you ever seen a poor boy with a helicopter? My God, did you find out this little brother is so handsome? Such a poor boy boyfriend. Give me a dozen, thank you." When Yang Ling got off the plane, he understood the situation in front of him at a glance. Without saying a word, he immediately released the 3 coins. The 3 people holding Zhang Yuro screamed at the same time, and the coins were directly clamped into the bones of their hands. Unrestrained, Zhang Yuro threw herself into Yang Ling's arms crying. Yang Ling patted her shoulder lightly and said softly, "It's okay. I'm here. Thousands of words can't compare to these few words. Zhang Yuro seemed to have strong emotions welling up in her heart. She hugged Yang Ling even tighter. Tears poured out like a bank bursting. Ding! You have fulfilled Zhang Yuro's wish for you to protect her. The wish value is +1. Ding! You appeared in time to protect Zhang Yuro. Intimacy value +30. Current intimacy, 80. Yang Ling's face was extremely cold. From the chirping voices of the people eating melons, he already knew the general idea of the matter. He said coldly, "At that time I let you go, I thought you would have self-knowledge and disappear from then on. Looks like I was wrong. Where do you think you have the guts to do such a thing in broad daylight?" When Yang Ling appeared, Thunderbolt dealt with his 3 friends. Wang Quan's aura was completely overwhelmed. Hearing Yang Ling's words, his whole body trembled violently, and he insisted, "What did I do? Zhang Yuro hit my car, and it's only natural for me to make her lose money. I dare to say that no matter where I go, is it?" Yang Ling looked at the Maserati and sneered. "Is this your car?" Wang Quan heard the words and said sternly and restrainedly, "Yes, what's the matter? Is it?" Yang Ling sneered and said, "Then how much do you plan to make Yuro pay?" Wang Quan snorted, "The engine is broken 30. At this time, Zhang Yuro, who had been buried in Yang Ling's arms, choked up and said, "No, I just wiped it. The engine can't be broken." Wang Quan said angrily, "Bitch, if you say it's not broken, it's not broken." Zhang Yuro wanted to say something, but Yang Ling patted her on the shoulder, signaling her to be calm. Then he walked up to Maserati, looked at Wang Quan and said, "Is 30 too little?" After saying that, he kicked out fiercely. Ding! The powerful technique is activated. The current strength is 60. With the sound of the system, there was only a muffled bang, and the front of Maserati's car was kicked open. Under everyone's stunned gaze, Yang Ling shouted sharply, "Say, how much is this foot worth?" Wang Quan was stunned and kicked the front of the car off. What a terrifying force. Facing Yang Ling like this, his whole body trembled. How could he dare to speak? "You don't tell me, do you?" Yang Ling seemed to be really angry and kicked out fiercely again. Boom! With a muffled sound, the front of the car flew out directly under the huge force and hit a wall heavily. Bang! There was a loud explosion, stirring up a cloud of dust, and everyone's hearts trembled violently. Is this still a person? Is this him, a humanoid beast? Yang Ling glanced coldly at Wang Quan, who was trembling all over, took out his mobile phone, and made a call. "Manager Han, it's me. You immediately take the company's legal counsel and come to Inrue Shopping Center." Han Yakin on the other end of the phone was slightly taken aback, but she was a smart person and did not ask any more questions, but followed suit. He looked at Wang Quan and said indifferently, "I smashed your car. Now this matter has nothing to do with Yuro. It is our matter." Zhang Yuro looked at Yang Ling with admiration. The figure of this young man almost occupied his entire heart. For a moment, he wished to be by Yang Ling's side forever, forever. Ding! You shattered Wang Quan's wish to plot against Zhang Yuro. Attribute point +1. Ding! You resolved Zhang Yuro's crisis this time. Your intimacy +10, and the current intimacy is 90. Wang Quan looked at Yang Ling with fear and unwillingness. He gritted his teeth and said, "Yang Ling, you deliberately destroyed other people's property. This car is 120 million yuan. I will ask a lawyer to sue you for a penny less." "Is it?" Yang Ling said indifferently. "Don't tell me about this, but tell our company's legal counsel." Sure enough, within 10 minutes, Han Yakin rushed over with the company's lawyer, He Xiaoyan. He Xiaoyan was in his early 30s, but he looked quite good-looking, and his eyes added a bit of mature charm. The two separated from the crowd and walked up immediately after seeing Yang Ling. "Mr. Yang, I brought lawyer He here." Yang Ling nodded, while the rest were dumbfounded. This person is Han Yakin from Muhua Group. He called this young man Mr. Yang. "Isn't he a poor boy? Are you an idiot? Have you ever seen a poor boy come here in a helicopter?" After a general understanding of what happened, He Xiaoyan directly dialed a phone number, and after chatting for a few words, She looked at Wang Quan, who was still in a daze, and said, Dr. Wang, as far as I know, this car is not yours, but your Xiangyang's. The car dealer rented it temporarily. As soon as this remark came out, everyone's eyes widened. Rental. This doctor pretended to be a rich man and rented a car to pretend to be a real rich man. And anyone with a little bit of brain would know that this person rented a luxury car to come to Punxi, and he wanted to kill that little girl. Immediately, everyone looked at Wang Quan with contempt, and many people even scolded, accusing the doctor of being a scum among scum. Wang Quan's face was as ugly as if he had eaten a fly, and he said sternly and restrainedly, So what if I rented it? Yang Ling smashed the car, and he wants to pay for it. He Xiaoyun said calmly. According to the law, we should indeed accompany you in the car, but you're suspected of framing this Ms. Zhang, and you are suspected of hurting and kidnapping in public. Our president is only here to save people. Smashing cars is to destroy your crime tools. What? Everyone, including Yang Ling, was dumbfounded. A lawyer is a lawyer, quick-witted and eloquent. He Xiaoyun's words directly characterized this matter as a kidnapping crime. But Yang Ling smashed the car and became a hero saving the beauty. But if it is true, this is really the case. Seeing that Wang Quan could swallow an egg with his mouth open, He Xiaoyun gave him a fatal blow. I will call the shopping center to monitor this matter and make relevant statements to the court and wait for the court to make a final judgment. But before that, I think the people from the car rental company should look for you, Dr. Wang. After all, you rented this car, not us. Yes. Everyone was gasping for breath. After the surveillance was called, they had to wait for the court to open a trial after several trials and wait until the final judgment might take a year and a half. Let alone whether this person, surnamed Wang, can get the money with him. If he loses the lawsuit and doesn't have more than a penny, he is very likely to be sentenced. The key lies in the waiting period. I am afraid that people from the car rental company will knock on the door of his house every day. In addition, if something like this happened, a doctor, might have already done his best. Wang Quan's whole body was limp on the ground. His face was ashen. This time he was completely crushed. Ding, you have fulfilled Zhang Yuro's wish to quell the incident. Wish value +1, current progress, 25 tenths. Ding, you have crushed Wang Quan's wish for you to lose money immediately. Attribute point +1. At this time, the traffic police finally arrived, and Yang Ling naturally didn't need to worry about the follow-up. When the crowd dispersed, Yang Ling smiled and said, Lawyer, thank you this time. He Xiaoyan smiled slightly and said, Mr. Yang, you're being polite. Sister Yakin and I are good sisters, so you are naturally duty-bound. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback when he heard the words and looked at Han Yakin. Seeing that the girl nodded with a smile, he also smiled and said, Okay, I see. In the future, we will help each other and advance and retreat together. He Xiaoyan's face showed surprise when he heard the words. He nodded hurriedly and said, Thank you, Mr. Yang. I will not let you down. Ding, you have fulfilled He Xiaoyun's wish to lean towards you. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 26 tenths. Does this lawyer's sister also want to follow me? Yang Ling laughed. Han Yakin looked at the little beauty who had been hiding behind Yang Ling and said with a light smile, Mr. Yang, I don't know if this is... Friend, we made an appointment to watch a movie together today. Friend, Han Yakin giggled and said, Your friends are prettier than each other. Since watching a movie, let's not bother. Yang Ling asked in surprise, Aren't you going to watch it together? This, Han Yakin seemed a little moved, looked at He Xiaoyun, but found a wry smile on the corner of her mouth. Seeing this, Han Yakin sighed softly and said, Mr. Yang, Xiaoyun's husband. Forget it, it's getting late. We won't be this light bulb. Yang Ling was such a character that he immediately noticed that something was wrong. He glanced at He Xiaoyun and found that there were faint bruises on her arms and calves. Although she hid it well, how could she hide it from his eyes? Domestic violence? Yang Ling frowned slightly, but this was his family's business after all. After a moment of silence, he said to He Xiaoyun, Lawyer, every family has scriptures that are difficult to recite. You are the lawyer of the group. If you really have any difficulties you can bring up, if you can help, I will help. Yi Chaoyan looked at Yang Ling gratefully after hearing this, and seemed to want to say something, but the words turned into a wry smile. She shook her head and said, Mr. Yang laughed, I will take care of the family affairs, don't worry. Then I'll go here first. Yang Ling nodded, and before leaving, he said to Han Yakin, Manager Han, please inform Yin Xing. Let him send someone to drive the helicopter away and go to my house to bring my car. Han Yakin nodded in response, and suddenly walked up to Yang Ling and whispered in Yang Ling's ear, Mr. Yang, Director Liu is a little weird today. When I went to her office in the morning, I found that she seemed to have cried. Do you want to go and have a look? Is there such a thing? Did you go home last night? Yang Ling frowned, nodded and said, I see, you go. After everyone left, Zhang Yuro breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Yang Ling with admiration, and said, Xiao Ling, thank you so much. I don't know what I would do without you. Yang Ling laughed and said, It's a trivial matter. By the way, do you want to touch up your makeup? It's become a cat face. Zhang Yuro's face flushed. She hurriedly wiped away her tears and said, Wait for me. I'll be right there. Because the two came earlier, the movie has just begun. They were watching a tragic romance movie, and Zhang Yuro cried again, holding Yang Ling's hand tightly, for fear that the little man beside him would suddenly disappear. After the movie ended, it was already the climax of the moon. Walking on the path with flickering lights, Zhang Yuro held Yang Ling's arm and was still sighing, feeling sorry for the hero and heroine who couldn't be together in the end. As she walked, Zhang Yuro's mood seemed to be a little off, and she seemed to be tensed up. After a while, she suddenly took a deep breath, took a few steps forward, turned around, and looked at Yang Ling seriously, and said, Xiao Ling, let me stay by your side all the time, okay? Yang Ling stopped when he heard this, and stared at her quietly. There was a wind blowing the hair on the temples of the young man, blowing the black hair of the young girl. The lights flickered and the stars were dotted. Zhang Yuro in front of her was like a small white flower in the dark, beautiful and pure. The girl blushed and looked at Yang Ling expectantly. Agreed? Reject? After silence, what will be the answer? After some time, she didn't seem to have the courage to hear the answer. She suddenly stepped forward and hugged Yang Ling, choked up and said, I know. A man like you will definitely be liked by many people. I have no confidence, and I dare not expect you to like me. I just want to be by your side, to be able to look at you, and to be with you is enough. What a pure and beautiful girl. Yang Ling sighed in his heart, put his arms around her waist, and smiled softly in her ear. Don't cry. Don't be afraid. I will always protect you. Thousands of words, all in this one sentence. Zhang Yuro couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She hugged Yang Ling tightly and said with a sob, From today on, whether you love me or not, marry me or not, I will be your woman. I will always follow you, with you forever. Ding, the promise under the moon. Zhang Yuro's intimacy with you has reached the full value of 100, and I will always be by your side from now on. I will never leave you, and we will live and die together. Ding, you have obtained a wish chest, and after opening it, you will immediately receive a top reward. Yang Ling didn't choose to open the treasure chest immediately, but hugged Zhang Yuro and let the girl cry in his arms. After a long time, Zhang Yuro wiped away her tears with a blushing face and looked at Yang Ling with some embarrassment. Yang Ling laughed and said, It's getting late. I'll take you home. Going home. Zhang Yuro lowered her head and held Yang Ling's hand. Her face turned even redder. Yuro. Yang Ling was a little surprised, seeing that this idiot didn't understand what he meant. Zhang Yuro gritted her teeth and suddenly pointed to the house not far away. Is there a hotel? Yang Ling was taken aback for a moment, and then blushed. This girl is going to sleep with her? Zhang Yuro's hand holding Yang Ling was a little hot, but she didn't get a response for a long time. She pouted and whispered, This is my first time. I don't want to be too hasty. If you have something to do tonight, then next time. Hearing this, Yang Ling felt his heart beating faster. This is a great opportunity to get rid of a virgin. But after hesitating for a while, he still blushed and said, I I really have something to do. Next time it's okay. I'll take you home. All right. Zhang Yuro's voice was as soft as a mosquito's, but she was unwilling to let go of Yang Ling's hand. Ding, you shattered Zhang Yuro's wish to give her first night tonight. Attribute point +1. A moment later, in a community not far from the Longwan Villa area, the BMW I-8 slowly stopped. After Zhang Yuro took a peek at Yang Ling and the co-pilot, suddenly her red lips touched the young man's face lightly and said softly, "You have time. I can do it any time." After saying that, he covered his face in embarrassment and fled upstairs as if flying. Yang Ling touched his cheek, feeling a little regretful in his heart, but when he thought of the treasure box he got, he immediately smiled. Afterwards, he drove the car back to Tianshan Garden, went upstairs, and found that Chu Xiyin was broadcasting live, and Yang Shui and the two of them had already fallen asleep. He didn't bother, turned around, and went downstairs, and walked towards Longwan Villa. It was already 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, and he was the only one on the quiet path. After taking a deep breath, Yang Ling said in a deep voice, "System, open the treasure chest for me." Ding, the host chose to open the treasure chest and is drawing rewards for you. Please wait. Yang Ling didn't know what the so-called top reward of the system was, so he held his breath and waited quietly for the result. After a while, the system's voice sounded in my mind. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the extroverted skill. Space repelling. Description. After launching the skill, the host can control the surrounding airflow to grab objects. Current level. LV1. Current weight that can be driven, 1 kilogram. Note. For each level up, the weight of objects that can be grasped will increase tenfold. Each cast consumes a certain amount of stamina. Yang Ling was taken aback for a moment, then overjoyed. He actually has this kind of ability that only appears in TV and novels. He couldn't wait to wave his hand at a brick not far away. And sure enough, a gust of air was driven by him, and the brick floated like this, and the next moment it landed safely in his palm. Ness! Yang Ling shouted excitedly, "This superpower is too strong." Without any hesitation, he used the wish points accumulated in the past few days to upgrade his skills. Ding, the ability to repel objects through space has been upgraded to LV3, and the current weight of objects that can be grabbed, 100 kilograms. Yang Ling let out a low voice and immediately activated his skills. He saw a stream of air in his eyes slowly spinning, and the next moment he stretched out his right hand and clenched his fist. Burst! Boom! With a muffled sound, a clear palm print appeared on a small tree not far away. The grip strength of 100 kilograms should not be underestimated. As long as he is willing, he can even strangle people to death in the air. With the control of thunder and the ability to dispel objects through the air, he has infinitely broken away from the level of mortals. Suddenly, his heart moved. Since he can control the airflow, can he let the airflow carry him up?